These three wrecked, Charles Sumner and James O'Brien, could win this race. Coming up on the high side, Taylor Stout tries to use the run, and now it is a push from Goodell on Chris Hudson on the bottom. Does he push him the whole way, or does he abandon him? He tries to find the inside. They are going to come together. They're going to come together, and Stout keeps it straight. Taylor Stout will win this race.
We're 3 wide down the front straightaway with a bump draft in the middle.
And that's Cowgill that's getting the bump from Cervantes. Another one joining in. Stanton working together with Greenhoe now and looking to go as far into the corner as they dare. Greenhoe around the outside. Cowgill still with him. Gets fed out just like he fed him out before. And Sinead pokes his nose out, and so does Moraes. Moraes manages to get to the inside, but this is through the 90. They're going to be wheel to wheel as they come up through the S's. This could be a toss-up to either one of them as to who comes out ahead. Back and forth they weave as they climb over the crest, almost banging doors, in fact, and cutting a big hole in the air. And Jean-Marc Tremblay wants to try and find a way through. Instead, he has to play defense as now Bertome makes a go at things. And down into the corner, Moraes is onto the podium as J.R. Williams falls to 4th.
Close behind. He's just going to want to keep everything nice and tight here. Careful through turn 5. That's a little bit, flirting with disaster was BJ Fulton. Here he comes on the charge.
He's got the speed, but he's around the outside of turn 6, and he takes it. Can he keep it on the track? Yes, he does.
Oh, here comes Karthik Pai on Ove Trangrade.
Down the inside of turn 1, and Trangrade off into the grass. Thankfully keeps it from spinning back across into Miko. Miko has to dodge to avoid, but here he goes. Great exit. He's got the slipstream. Ove's going to defend. Coming down into Charlotte's Web, looking around the outside, breaks deeper into the corner. Can he do it the long way around? Not quite.
Not quite, and Lino's going to have to line this up again, but he is very close. He's not done. He's going to have a look going down to the inside of the museum corner. He's going to have to be later under the binders, too wide.
Couldn't quite get there, and a little puff of smoke as he has to get on the brakes once again, not to run into the back of him.
Hey there, I'm Nicholas Dubois, co-founder of Advanced SimRacing. We are a Canadian company. So what we did here today is for a real petrol head. He's really passionate about cars, as you can see behind me. We did a turnkey solution for him based on his needs. We try to gather as much information as we can on our client. And like we did today, we install a D-Box system. We install ultra-wide cube control steering wheel. We try to provide the best quality for your budget. So let's say if you want a budget of 10 grand, we're gonna give you something that's the best for 10 grand. If you want 20 grand, then we always try to stay within your boundaries. We do try to make it as easy as possible. So the client, once we install everything, it's pretty much gonna be a turnkey. So he's gonna press start on his computer, and right after, we'll try to explain everything, how it goes, how it works, and then he's ready to go. Our aluminum is from USA, treated in Canada, cut in Canada. So we do sand all our aluminum piece just to make sure the powder coat sticks to it. And that's one of the reasons why we use powder coat, is to make sure you have the best aluminum finish in the industry. And our quality is beyond what you can get with any other competitors right now. We are really, really passionate about all the gear, all the cockpits, all the sim hardware, and that's why we want to create something that's really going to reflect our passion into our product. Come visit us at advancedsimracing.com. You can always reach us if you have any questions. You can call us, you can text us, you can go on Facebook, like our page, ask us questions over there, and we'll make sure to answer every questions there is. We are very passionate about what we do, and we try to make it as easier for you to go into the sim racing world, because there's a lot of gear, there's a lot of options, but let us guide you through your process, and let's hope you'll be an advanced sim racing customer.
Both championships were wrapped up last week, but that doesn't mean the drivers are lacking things to fight for. And luckily for us, today's tracks provide plenty of chances to make overtakes happen. Hopefully that means we're able to wrap up the season on a high note as we get ready to watch round 10 of the PRL GT Pro Series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global Sim Racing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is DJ Clark. Behind the scenes is our director, Zach Johnson, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. The MX-5s will start off with the Red Bull Ring. Perhaps a bit big for these little Miatas, it still produces incredible racing. Let's head to our track guide to learn more. Welcome to the Red Bull Ring. Located near Spielberg, Austria, this track began life in a much more fast and sweeping format. Having gone through multiple different owners, it eventually was snatched up by Red Bull and has its 3 different layouts you see today. While they range roughly between 1 to 2.5 miles in length, the thing they hold in common are fast straights, hard braking zones, and very few corners. In fact, the longest and most common layout, the Grand Prix course, has only 9 of them. Spots like Remus and Gosser are the most popular corners for overtakes, but both involve dramatic elevation changes. Each have their perils. Remus tends to see drivers make contact when the blind cutback often goes wrong, whereas Gosser tempts you into braking far too late, and the downhill nature shoots cars miserably into the gravel. A few swift bends still scatter the track, with turns like Lauda, Rent, or A1 really testing a driver's accuracy at high speeds. However, most of them don't send you off into the grass. Rather, there is a lot of paved runoff. But they often include some nasty curves most cars will want to avoid hitting, as they've been known to damage suspension and undertrays. A variety of types of racing compete here, with everything from lower Formula open-wheelers to motorcycles, touring cars, and all the way up to Formula One holding events regularly. Set among the gorgeously picturesque Alps, and including great racing on a challenging and history-rich circuit, it's easy to see why fans and drivers are both eager every time they come for a race. Well, DJ, we've been here before with the MX-5s, and last time it produced good racing. I expect nothing less today.
So do I, Joe. And as we've seen when we've come here before, it is going to be a very draft-dependent track. Look for key overtaking opportunities going into Remus and down into Schlossgold. But with these MX-5s, we've also seen some great maneuvers going down into that infield section of Rauch and Wirth through there. The tricky areas, though, those are the last 2 corners. Rent and A1, medium to high-speed corners. You've got to be very, very confident as you dive the car in and be very, very careful. But I have to agree with you. It's going to be some great racing here for this MX-5 series.
Well, we'll get to that racing in a moment. Before that, we want to mention that our broadcast is brought to you by ASR. Owned and operated by passionate sim racers, Advanced Sim Racing designs and builds the most sturdiest and durable aluminum profile racing simulation cockpits available in the market today. Visit them at advancedsimracing.com.
It's also sponsored by RaceLab. RaceLab helps you to improve your driving skills. With modern overlays, race statistics, and native VR integration, you can get the best out of iRacing. Start using it now for free at racelab.app.
Today's broadcast is also proudly sponsored by ButtKicker. ButtKicker products add an incredible immersion and realism to any game. Feel every nuance and truly put yourself in the driver's seat. Check them out at thebuttkicker.com.
And finally, the PRL GT Series is also brought to you by NinjaTrader. Ready to compete against the financial markets? Supporting over 60,000 users across the globe, NinjaTrader provides award-winning trading software and brokerage services. NinjaTrader is always free to use for advanced charting, backtesting, and trade simulation. Visit them at ninjatrader.com to get started with a risk-free trading simulator and start tracking your performance.
And the performance for Bradley Hawley this season has been exactly what he was aiming for. Just unflappable with a single DNF, and everything else was just incredible. 8 top 5s. So basically everything but his DNF was a top 5 finish, and he has wrapped up the championship because of that. Now, Bergquist, Newhook, and Muirhead, as well as Kings, could still all change positions, but it'll depend on how things wind up at the end of today. So who will wind up in second place is yet to be seen. Let's now take a glance at the Teams Championship.
Well, Joe, over in that Teams Championship, Miata Mafia still continuing to hold that lead, and that is locked in for them. They will be the winners of this season, with Oh God Right Turns also holding on to that second place. Crikey, No Brakes, more than likely going to take away that third place, as 5-5 Motorsports needs about 20 points to be able to come back on them. That's going to be a hard deficit to make up in one race. Fossil Racing Skull, their fairways back, and they have also locked into that 5th place position.
As for today's event, it's another 35-minute sprint race, but there is a pit stop that you can expect during that. It's also open setup, and while these cars don't have aero dependency that they need to worry about changing like you see in Formula One, there is still some comfort in some of the swifter corners that I'm sure could affect your lap times. Now, they have a drive-through penalty at 13 incidents and a disqualification at 17 incidents, along with some bonus points, fastest lap pole, and 3 incidents or less. And looking at the timing screen, Bradley Hawley holds the provisional pole by a half second over Peter Newhook right now. So it's looking pretty handily in favor of the 184, but we're still missing about half the field to put a time in.
Yes, we are. Some drivers running wide at those tricky corners of Rent in A1 that I pointed out earlier, Joe. But because this is open qualifying, very, very crucial to try to tuck up behind another driver, get the full benefit of the draft, as that is going to greatly reduce lap times.
Wonder if that's what helped Hawley on his lap. 15 minutes that they'll get to try and set their quickest effort out there. And I actually see it looks like Muirhead in the 19 might be on a pretty quick one. Right now we're looking at Cervantes, who comes off of a couple good finishes on the oval side. Let's see if he can bring that out as well here in the MX-5, says he still needs a lap, and he's coming to the line. It's going to be a 50.7. That'll get him onto the board, but only into 8th. Muirhead, who's going to be coming across next, a 49.6, a definite improvement, but still half a second off of Hawley.
Yeah, Bradley Hawley just continuing to set the pace for this season, being absolutely electric. Some more times coming across the board there. Todd Lewis up into 9th. Ian Cabana putting a time on the board, able to get his way up into 5th.
Looks like Malcolm Foster finally has one down now, 53.1. That'll put him last of those with a time. So Galanotto, Bladon, Greenhoe, and Larson are the last ones that need a lap. But it looks like Jason Larson might not be starting this race, as he's not currently in the session. And coming down into the braking, you can see them try to get single files a little wide. Goes Todd Lewis, which is going to give Greenhoe another good tow. In fact, he's going to back out of it. They did talk to the drivers before we came live here a bit before the qualifying session, advising them to make sure and not impede one another in this qualifying.
Yeah, going to be very crucial to not do any impedance here. Drivers being very respectful, because this is such a draft-dependent track. You've got to be a little bit careful about it. But, yeah, you want to be following as close behind as possible without being impeded.
I think Pete Bladon is getting ready to set a lap now, finally, as he comes down to the line, 52.7. So that'll put him into 14th place ahead of Malcolm Foster. Cervantes looks like he might be on a very good lap right now, along with Bergquist, who's in tow behind him. looking just a little bit behind as now we swap over to Cervantes, who crosses the line, a 49.918, and that will get him up into the top 5, while Bergqvist also goes quicker and into 8th position, but he's going to need to do better than that, because remember, he's trying to seal up that 2nd place in the championship.
Yes, he is. Wants to try to hold on to that. So we've got some more drivers crossing over the line here. Kelly Greenhoe, good enough for 5th place right there. Not seeing much improvement out of any other of the drivers in this train, though.
Yeah, the gap right now is 15 points between Bergqvist and Newhook. And Newhook right now is outpacing him in the qualifying, but he needs a pretty good haul to overcome a 15-point deficit. As Bradley Hawley's going to park it, he can get back out if he wants another lap to try and improve on that time. But as it sits right now, I don't think he necessarily needs it, as Newhook certainly taking a lot through that corner and getting a little bit loose coming off of Remus. Now he's going to get a tow instead as he pulls behind Kelly Greenhoe, and he's going to trail Todd Lewis behind him, along with Ian Cabana and Randy Gross. We've got a bit of a draft train forming in qualifying, actually.
Yeah, we really do. It's probably a preview of what's to come in the race, truth be told, as we look out the back there of Newhook's machine. That 87 just towing along everybody else. And because of the lack of aerodynamic effect on these cars, Joe, they can run this close through this infield section and not have to worry about any aero wake or aero disturbance.
Looks like Ladon back up to 15th after a slightly better lap. So good news for him. Kevin Bergqvist, who is the next across, is going to be a little slow. So as we watch Newhook and friends, let's see what they can do in these last 2 corners. Again, not an improvement there with Bergqvist. Muirhead looks like he's also going to be slightly slow. He's the next one in front of these guys. And indeed, that one not an improvement. Baron Hilton, in the meantime, has his lap deleted as now Newhook crosses. Another lap gone for him. Oh, Todd Lewis up to 3rd, though. Nice improvement as Randy Gross as well goes up to P5. And it looks like Ian Cabana to P5 and Gross up into 2nd.
Yeah, that was a mega lap from Gross, able to get that deficit down to Bradley Hawley to 0.3 of a second. You can see him there on your screen, the 55 machine in the back of the train, just kind of tailing along behind Ian Cabana here. If Cabana is able to run another good lap, this may be an even better improvement for Randy Gross.
We'll have to keep an eye on this, because this could be critical. Remember, they're all trying to catch Bradley Hawley, who actually has not come back out. Looks like he has indeed parked it for the day. Don't think he'll be able to get back around to get a flyer unless he takes off in the next minute. And as they come down into Schlossgold, that is a little bit wide, so that is going to slow one of our run-in shotgun cars down. And we're hearing that Hawley is even hit ready to race. So yeah, he is officially done here in this qualifying. 2nd behind him in the points, Bergqvist still not able to find a good lap. He's all on his own without a slipstream, much like this man, Peter Newhook, who looks to be hovering just about at his best lap time, but it's going to be marginal.
And Bergqvist there kicking up some dirt on the exit of A1. Should be within track limits there. Let's see if he's able to improve. It doesn't look like it. 150.6, not going to be good enough. Let's see if Newhook's got anything.
It's looking like it's slowing down out of the final corner. It could still be something. What has he got? A 49.804 is going to be 200ths off of his best time, unfortunately. And Malcolm Foster, who we saw have a slight off earlier, not sure if this one's going to count for him. And it will, but it's not going to be quick, unfortunately. And then you've got Galanotto and Kings, the next one across the line. Both look to be a little slow as we looked a little farther back at Adam Young for a brief moment, who does look to be improving.
Yes, he does, as here comes Kings across the line, a 151.2, so that is not an improvement for him. A little bit surprising to see him starting all the way back down in the field like that, but he's going to try to get one more lap in. Not sure he's going to have the time to do it. Running very wide on the exit curbing there.
Wow, a 9/10 of a second improvement for Adam Young still only puts him into 16th. He is going to chuck it off the track as he's also done for the day. Again, 51 seconds left. We still got time for drivers to start a new flyer, which Bladon and Thomas are on track. This is, I think, Muirhead that we're looking at. Yeah, this is Parker in the 19. And he comes up into Remus himself without anybody able to give him a tow. I see him. It looks like Stanton, Bergquist, Foster, Bladon, Thomas, Gross, Galinotto, Kings have not officially ended their qualifying yet. We'll see if any of them are out there, but it looks like only Muirhead, Bergquist, Foster, and Kings are the ones that are running currently.
Yeah, and it looks like Bladon and Thomas both had a little bit of a bobble coming out of turn one, and so they called it a day. They're going to be done. Continue to watch Parker Muirhead here, seeing if he's got anything. He doesn't look particularly quick through the first sector, not setting a green time. Let's see what he's able to do as he crosses over this second sector line. It's a 47.3 in that sector. That is quicker than Randy Gross ahead of him, so he may be able to pick up a little bit of speed here.
Foster crosses, but it's not looking quick, and it unfortunately is not. Ryan Kings is going to be the next one. I think he's about a second off. He's going to park it, and so that leaves Muirhead to try and set a good time, and the only one left to try and complete a lap. Does he take it? The answer is no. And that ends our qualifying for the day. Bit of an anticlimax, unfortunately, but for Bradley Holly, it does mean another pole position, another bonus point for his name. He wants to end this one on a high, even if he has sealed it up. It's going to be Randy Gross who starts next to him in the second position today, as Parker Muirhead will start in the third spot. Then you've got Todd Lewis in P4, followed by Ian Cabana in the fifth position. From there, you've got Peter Newhook challenging from 6th, as Patrick Cowgill will start 7th and Kelly Greenhoe in 8th. And row 5 has Danny Cervantes along with Kevin Bergquist, second in the points, a little far down.
Pete Thomas will be lining up in 11th, followed by Malcolm Foster with Barron Hilton and Ryan Kings behind him. Pete Bladon only good enough for 15th, followed by Adam Young with Robert Galinotto. The last driver to set a time, Jason Larson and Jerome Stanton, both making up the rest of the field.
Before we get racing, we want you to make sure and check out the Majors Garage, home of free Baseline Plus setups. Get help from any of the garage coaches 24/7. Sign up now for awesome, affordable monthly subscriptions, telemetry, coaching, and more by simply clicking on our link in the description below. Also, if you use our special discount code Majors GSRC, you'll get 10% off. And it looks like they are officially done now, as everybody is motioned that they are ready to go. And we got a couple drivers that are going to be giving us some onboard cams here today. Of course, Peter Newhook, who's become a bit of a tradition here. Going to show him trying to chase down Bergquist for that second position from P6. And then you've got Adam Young starting a little farther back in the field, all the way down in 16th, but at least he made up a couple spots in the process. And then, as we almost always have, Bradley Holly, who we understand is actually still trying to get over COVID right now, so he's not 100% back and a little bit under the weather. Let's see how he performs with that, unfortunately hanging over his head, as they get ready to go, and they just about have everyone on the grid already here. Just a couple slots, and then we go racing for 35 minutes here in the 71-degree heat, 88 Fahrenheit on the track surface itself, with only 31 Celsius as the engines rev and the lights come up. The green flag is out. It was not a good start for Gross. Gross had all too much wheel spin, and Muirhead's going to be able to get around him as they fly towards Lauda. Lewis might even be able to get third place away from him as they break towards the first turn. And it looks like around the outside, indeed, Todd Lewis now moves on to the podium. Behind them, they are all safely out of the first turn.
There was a little bit of contact in the back between Patrick Cowgill and Ian Cabana, but everybody making it through nice and easy see here comes the first big test of that draft as they work their way up the hill towards Remus, waiting to see if anybody pokes their nose to the inside.
This can also be a danger zone on the first lap as drivers get ambitious into here or just spin up the tires a little too much, but that looks very patient amongst most of them. Someone diving to the inside there towards the back. I think Malcolm Foster having to go defensive, but up at the front, it is all single file down into Schlossgold on the first lap.
It is all single file up front. The first battle we have is between Kelly Greenhoe and Patrick Cowgill. They're side by side down into Schlossgold. Looks like Greenhoe able to take the advantage.
Greenhoe starting this race in 8th position, up 1 now because of that. A little bit of attack on Cowgill from Cervantes, but not able to make that one stick. Danny with a victory over in the trucks on Wednesday. We got a car off. Who is that into the wall? That's Randy Gross.
Oh my goodness, from starting in 2nd place position, losing a little bit of time at the start. Randy Gross's drive here going from bad to worse.
Car looks pretty damaged, if I'm honest. Don't we got more problems? This looks like Pete Thomas, Galinotto, and Bladon for some reason. So I think that's 2 of our Fossil Racing drivers. 3 of them, actually.
Yeah, Fossil Racing just not having the best day out here. Lots of problems there. You can see the damage on that number 7 of Pete Bladon.
So that started with Thomas. We'll try and get back to that replay a little bit later, but the 99 was the first that spun, and the other 2, unfortunately, getting collected as Gross takes it down into pit lane because of that. But look up at the front as Holly stretches away. Todd Lewis has his sights set not just on 3rd, but 2nd place.
He's going to have a little bit of a look here, trying to see what he can have. Parker Muirhead's going to make him go the long way around Remus, but sometimes that can actually be the faster way. Both diving onto the binders there. Good run away for Todd Lewis. They're still going to be side by side.
Wheel to wheel as they pick up pace now, and this might actually be a good thing for Peter Newhook. Remember, he lost that 3rd place at the start there. No, excuse me, he's up from 6th place, excuse me. So he's made massive gains instead, rather. And Muirhead, despite having the inside, doesn't seem to be brave enough on the brakes. So Newhook looking to try and see if he can use that to his advantage, but nothing doing. They're going to go single file once again until you get back to Cowgill, Cabana, and Kings.
Exactly. This is the part of the track. Ooh, that's a wide line there for Newhook. Little bit of action. Kings up 7 positions here. Obviously, that qualifying pace not indicative of the 43 speed.
And one other car wide there. That was Cabana, who unfortunately is going to have a slow run with Cervantes now looking at 8th place. And Newhook, I think, just overtook Muirhead in the meantime. And no, he's not completely done. Here he is side by side down into Rents. This one is tricky, but Peter cannot keep the speed going. He'll have to give way to Lewis, who is back into 2nd. And Muirhead finds himself trying to defend on Kelly Greenhoe along with Cowgill and Ryan Kings. This mid-pack is incredible as we got Cabana off course out of the final turn.
Yes, we do. He's going to back it back up, but we're side by side. That is going to be Newhook trying to make a move down into turn 1. This big pack almost coming out of the corner. Noah's Ark style here. Everything firing off.
A 6-pack of cars into turn 1, and everybody came out the other side. In the meantime, it looks like Newhook still trying to see if he can get that away from Todd Lewis. Lewis does not defend. I think he knows this trick about that outside line into there. Meanwhile, it's going to be Cowgill who uses that to great effect as he starts to pull ahead of Muirhead, and so does Ryan Kings, managing to go past Greenhoe.
And Kings, I think, isn't done. He's going to try to tuck up in the draft here with Patrick Cowgill, maybe get the move done on Muirhead as well. They come down here into the braking zone of Schlossgold. Again, that outside line can be very, very effective. Kings trying to carry the momentum, got the move done.
Muirhead looked like he slipped up big time down through Schlossgold, and that slowed him up as Greenhoe now overtakes and cuts him off as they go single file. Once again, there's a look to the inside from Cervantes. That actually scares Muirhead off the racing line enough that Cervantes now has the run himself as they hit the bottom of the hill and continue to turn now. That's going to be Cervantes into P7.
Good heads up there for Danny Cervantes. Parker Muirhead looking all kinds of out of sorts here. And now it's going to be Bergquist going for a little bit of a move there. As then again, Peter Newhook around the outside trying to get something done through Rint.
Newhook is on a mission. Remember, he's trying to catch Bergquist in the points, so he needs to be up as many positions as he can. A dive to the inside from Ryan Kings as he sees an opening on Patrick Cowgill, who was slow off the final corner. Coming into Lauda once again, a defensive move from Lewis at first, and then back to the racing line behind them. Ryan King sends it in deep, just about edges Cowgill off the course, but leaves him enough space, and this battle's going to continue between all 6 cars. Look at this.
Oh my goodness gracious, ants marching 2 by 2 by 2 down this long straightaway. Absolutely incredible stuff. Newhook way down to the inside here. He's going to try to be later onto the binders.
3 wide for almost a moment as Cervantes spied an opportunity, couldn't take advantage of it. But once again, that outside line is the place to be through Remus. And Todd Lewis starts to pull ahead. Newhook playing defense on Cowgill, who's on the outside coming down into Schlossgold. Back to the racing line for the 919 as they hit the binders. And who is going to be able to take a position? 3 wide. Oh no, getting to the side of Cowgill. Is that Kings? And he's prone across the track. I think he had a little bit of a hit, and behind him another incident separately, Stanton and Foster.
Yeah, and that was Bergquist that caught a little bit of him, so that is not good for the points. Ooh, that looks like a bad incident there. Poor Foster is now in. This is going to be Cervantes and Greenhoe trying to pull this out through the infield section.
It's all been happening so much, we haven't even had a time to get back to the replay on the opening lap. And coming off of Vert there, it looks like they're starting to spread apart at least a little bit, well, except for Newhook and Lewis. They're going to go 2 wide once again into Rint. Last time this didn't work out well for Newhook, and it didn't work out again.
And there it is, and now it looks like Patrick Cowgill is going to be the one with a little bit of the momentum here, trying to carry that out of A1 to the best of his abilities, but Newhook able to carry some good speed as well. They're going to stay equidistant, stay in line, going up into Lauda.
No such thing as a calm stroll through the hills here in the Alps today as they come up into the first turn. Newhook, a pretty decent exit. He's going to get the slipstream on Lewis, but is he going to try something different this time? Will he go to the outside, or at least try to get that outside line off of him, just covering the middle? No, he does not go for the overlap on the left-hand side. Doesn't go for the overlap on the inside either. He is going to sit behind as both of them follow through Remus and look for the slipstream once again behind them. They've also got Cervantes and Greenhoe caught back up.
And that was a really good move by Todd Lewis. Just a little bit of a checkup on the apex there of Remus. It put Peter Newhook on the back foot, and there you can see he's having to go defensive now against Patrick Cowgill as they dive down the hill.
Oh, and around the outside, Cowgill, great job, has the momentum, and now he's got the inside coming into the infield portion of the track. Is this the job done? Yes, it appears to be so. 7th to 3rd place now for the 31 car.
All right, all of this starting to have a little bit of a brief moment of respite, but I don't think Newhook is quite ready to give up on that position. He's now going to be the one in the attacking position, but he's got to watch out because Danny Cervantes just got a mega run coming off of Worth.
But he's not going to try and pass him. He gives a little push. Now he's going to look to the inside. Cervantes going underneath Newhook, and he gives up yet another spot, tries the crossover. Unfortunately, can't get his nose in down through the final turn. Instead, could he have the overtake into turn 1? And I don't know, because behind him, it's a big run from Greenhoe. We might see 3 wide. No, Greenhoe is going to push him, see if he can give him a little bit of help. We watch from onboard Newhook getting his nose down to the apex before Cervantes can, but can't get ahead off the corner.
And there you see a little bit of frustration there out of Peter Newhook, just wanting to get that position away and not being able to. And now again, here comes that bump draft that we've seen come play out a couple of times in this MX-5 series. Kelly Greenhoe giving it to Peter Newhook.
I saw a big old smile on Newhook's face. He's enjoying this as ahead of him, side by side. Before Newhook couldn't overtake Lewis, can Cowgill do what he could not?
Let's see. Cowgill's going to have the inside line going down into Schlossgold. Little bit of a defensive move there. Trying to fade off is Todd Lewis, trying to see if he can get anything. He's going to have to be later on the binders. Will be Patrick Cowgill. Who's going to have it?
Off of Schlossgold, Cowgill, even with the inside. Last time he did it around the outside and made it work. So it doesn't matter which way you stick him. He is going to be able to make that pass work. And the 31 is now into P2. The bigger question is, can he run away? Because this train has been just unbelievably frantic.
It really and truly has. And that 0.3 of a second advantage is about the biggest gap that we've seen anybody have. But again, those trailing cars coming off of Verth, it just looks like they get a great run off of the line. Here's Greenho taking a peek. Here's Cervantes going down low.
Oh, he's been given space, but Lewis goes way out to the outside. Is he going to get a slowdown penalty for that one? A little bit of a checkup for Cervantes, who gets a bump from Greenho. Newhook now trying to go down to the inside. They're losing touch with Patrick Cowgill, and they come up into Lauda once again in a 2x2 formation. Newhook and Cervantes on the inside. A lot of curve there for Cervantes, and it bites him.
It does indeed, and he's got to immediately come over and try to block off the momentum there of Kelly Greenho. Everybody coming down to the inside line, just trying to take the shortest distance between point A and point B. That's Bergquist. Bergquist around Newhook in the back. That's crucial.
Wow, when did Bergquist catch up to them? Especially after the contact that he made. It must not have been too bad. And he's not stopping there. He's also managing to go by Cervantes. And can he use this slipstream to attack on Greenho by the time they get the Schlossgold?
He's certainly going to try to. I think he's going to be a little bit far behind. That's Parker Muirhead there in the back now having a little bit of a look on Peter Newhook. Whoa, Cervantes thinking about a move there as well on Bergquist.
Single file for at least a brief moment now. And we still have 15 of the 18 drivers out there. We've lost King, Stanton, and Cabana up to this stage. And I kind of want to go to the replay, but I'm not sure if we will have time because they've even been erupting into passes down into Rent at times. Let's see if anybody gets the run. It looks like Bergquist actually is pretty quick on Greenhill once again.
Yeah, we've seen that many times, Joe. The third or fourth car in line is just able to sort of back up the corner a little bit, get it to go. Bergquist not going to go for the move, though. I think that corner is reserved for Danny Cervantes trying to get those moves done.
Ooh, Cervantes almost making contact there with the 64. Thankfully, no actual touch between them. All this is done is allow Bradley Holly to scamper away to the tune of about 11 seconds, just about 11 seconds as we go too wide once again. This time Todd Lewis having to defend from Greenho, and Greenho's bad exit. Oh, I thought it was going to be good for Bergquist, but he also lifts coming off the corner, trying not to run into that gold machine.
Yeah, and that lift is going to cost him maybe a little bit of a push here. Indeed, there is a push from Danny Cervantes. Careful not to push the pusher there, as I think Bergquist was thinking the same thing. Here comes Cervantes on a late move.
Ooh, and I think that time he did make a little bit of contact. And behind him, instead, it's going to be Peter Newhook who takes advantage. And he gets a great run coming up and over the hill. He'll pull on Danny Cervantes. Cervantes at first defending, now coming back to the racing line. And nothing doing from Newhook. He'll stay line astern with those in front and behind him.
Yeah, calming down a little bit, and that obviously a relative term because of what we have seen firing off here. But Newhook ahead of Bergquist. Remember, this is that battle in the points that we've got to keep our eyes on. That is what they are going to be thinking about as they jostle their way through this field.
Back ahead, but he's not enough positions ahead right now. Bergquist, if all he does is saying behind him, whoa, that was a huge run from Cervantes. Oh, Greenhill almost got into him and tipped both of them around. Now he might be overtaken by Newhook. Newhook down to the inside. Every time he tries this fails. No, he's going to pit in. He's going to abandon all this madness. He's going to try and come out on his own later.
All right, well, that's a gutsy call around the Red Bull Ring. It does act a little bit like an oval that you don't want to lose out on a draft, buddy, but I think the one thing that we have seen here today is that if you are able to have good pace on your own, looking at you, Bradley Holly, who has an 11-second gap over the rest of this field, you can start to pull away a little bit, so that's clearly what Newhook is going for here.
And Cowgill, throw him into that mix too. He's now 2.1 seconds ahead of Lewis, so he's got himself a much safer gap to those behind. I'm watching to see what's going to happen with Newhook. 17-second stop, so that's pretty decent. The 87 is rolling. Is this going to be on his own? Yes, it is. Newhook is going to be completely in the clear.
All right, that's really going to help him in Sector 2 around here, going through that infield section. They hurt him a little bit. Ooh, that's a little bit of a look in the back from Kelly Greenhoe on Danny Cervantes, but he thinks better of it going down into Schlossgold. Still may have a little bit of it, but Cervantes able to keep speed around the outside.
So back into the infield once again. Are they going to lose touch with Lewis now, who finds himself some buffer as well? At the end of the train currently is Baron Hilton, up from 13th to 8th. So handy job by the 00 to get into the mix and hold on to the tail of that train as they now come out of Verts. I'm not seeing anybody antsy at this point.
No, I think we're getting into the point in the race where people are starting to back off a little bit. Newhook's dive down pit lane may have made some of these drivers remember their fuel strategy a little bit, get back onto hitting those fuel numbers. Is anybody else going to come in? Yes, Cervantes and Greenhoe.
All right, so they were watching, they were paying attention. They're not going to let Peter Newhook get an advantage with these pit stops and cover him off, and they got another one in. Looks like Baron Hilton as well, deciding that's a good enough strategy for him. But our top 5 stay out on track, including this man in the yellow and black. That's Patrick Cowgill at about 1.8 seconds ahead of Todd Lewis. Now that Todd Lewis is no longer fighting those behind him, DJ, it's starting to look like he might be slightly quicker than the 31.
Yeah, his last lap was a 149.9. Cowgill only able to run a 150.6. And important to note that that was a pretty quick lap there for Cowgill, so we'll have to see what happens. Now, Cowgill could be doing a little bit of fuel saving on his own, so we will have to see.
17 minutes now left on the clock, so just about at the halfway point here. It makes sense we'd see a couple try and pit in these last 2 laps. As we watch Cowgill, 9.6 seconds. And we're understanding that things have unfortunately gone sideways for Baron Hilton as he's gotten a black flag and he's already into pit lane.
Yeah, so that may have been a unfortunate pit entry violation there from Baron. Very tricky. You've got to make sure you commit early to that line to be able to get it to work.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure, as we had a problem with Adam Young. Adam Young facing the wrong way coming out of Schlossgold. I think this is all his own doing with a spin touching the dirt, unfortunately.
Yeah, and we haven't really seen a lot of those errors, but he does crucially come back in the middle as we've got the leader down pit lane, Bradley Holly, as well as Patrick Cowgill. It looks like Lewis is going to stay out, as is Bergquist and Muirhead.
All right, so some of them finding this is the end of the road without the fuel saving. I'm sure that is a big part of it. Bergquist will inherit second place. Cowgill will hand that over by needing to take his pit stop. Pete Thomas stays out. Gallinotto stays out. And Adam Young is the last one to stay out, which he pits right now, actually.
All right, so Young coming down pit lane, maybe just getting a little bit of a mental reset there. Cowgill, very quick. Holly had a very slow stop there, 20.5 seconds.
I feel like we saw that before as well, that Holly had a bit of a long stop back at Monza. And onto the track, Bergquist, Cowgill returns in 7th position and critically with clear air. But side by side, Kelly Greenhoe and Danny Cervantes are fighting tooth and nail today.
Yes, they are. Greenhoe very aggressive out of turn 1. He's going to have the inside line, but as we've seen Cervantes on that maybe preferred outside line going through Remus, they're going to be side by side, and the battle will continue down this back straight.
Ooh, he's pinching him over. I was going to say, we've seen this end poorly before, and Cervantes thankfully pausing to give him room. Now, Cervantes didn't take the win in the Cup cars when we visited Auto Club, but he did get a pretty decent result and was challenging up at the lead for most of the race. Not seeing that success here, but he's doing his darndest to at least collect a top 10.
Yes, he is just trying to run a little bit of a wider line there, forcing Kelly Greenhoe to go defensive down into Rauch. And you can see there, because of that slightly more defensive line, Cervantes able to catch up maybe a half a tenth on him.
He knows this is not over, and he knows it's going to be important. Once all the pit stops are done, that's the time where he's going to get an idea of where everybody's strategy sits and where he needs to be on course. As Muirhead is in, looks like Lewis and Bergquist also managing to take their service. We got Pete Thomas now pitting in, and that is going to be everyone to make their scheduled fuel stop as we now wait for the other drivers chasing Holly to finish their pit stops, and he is long gone as Cowgill is already past him. Looks like Kelly Greenhoe might be past him. And Cervantes, they're pushing like hell right now to try and get away because Lewis and Muirhead are right there.
Yes, they are. They are going to come out about 1.2 seconds behind. So Todd Lewis is going to need to hustle here a little bit to try to close down that advantage. I think Cervantes knows they need to get ahead, giving a little bit of a bump draft there to Kelly Greenhoe as they go up into Remus.
Fierce fighting here, and we're not even close to being done with this race. And even Greenhoe denoting the inside in that corner is awful. So the drivers are aware, and that may be why we're seeing plenty of them let the others have that inside. Bump draft all the way down into Schlossgold. Did that gain them anything? It's about 1 to 9/10 of a second.
Yeah, so they're going to try to hold that out. That's exactly what Lewis needed to do, able to get 0.2 of a second down after they pitted. This is the area he could really try to make up some time. This is the little bit more technical portion of the track.
And one of the few spots where you've got that. Otherwise, it's all hairpins and long straights. And coming out of Verts, we're going to see another little push here as he gets up behind him. And, yep, they link up. He's going to try to get him extra speed, what little he can, by the time they hit the brakes here down into Rents. And we've got roughly 6 or 7 laps to go here, so it's coming down to it.
Yes, it is. And crucially here, remember when they came down pit lane, Patrick Cowgill was about 1.5 seconds to 2 seconds ahead. Kelly Greenhoe, as a result of that pushing from Donny Cervantes, they've been able to close that gap down to about 0.7 of a second. So they are closing in on the 31.
And Bergquist is in with a black flag. A penalty for the 64. I'm going to guess that this is incident limits. Yes, because it's a drive-through penalty, and that sends him down to 8th spot. Newhook is still only 1 car ahead of him critically right now, but Peter has the ability to try and pass some cars because he's got a number of them within about 1 second to 2 seconds in front.
And rest assured that he will be on the radio there trying to figure out just how far back he is. He's going to know those times. Here comes Newhook indeed getting the attack on here, trying to get by Parker Muirhead down to the inside of Schlossgold.
He's got that desired inside line, and he's got the job done. Nicely done by the 87 into P6. Lewis next on his list, but about 1.8 seconds up the road.
So he's going to have some hustle to do to try to close in on him, try to gain as many positions as possible here. And just as suspected, you can see out of the corner of your eye that train up front between Cowgill, Greenhoe, and Cervantes starting to close in.
As they come out of Verts, they're up over the crest. That is the yellow and black of Cowgill leading the train, with Greenhoe just behind. Drifting a little bit wide off the apex and off the exit curbs. Cervantes at first takes a little poke, but then thinks better of it. Onto the front stretch. We've seen a few attempts into Lauda, but will we see one this time? It's not looking like it. This looks a little more calm.
Yeah, I think they're just trying to eye each other up here. Whoa, Cervantes very late on the brakes. That may have been into the back of Greenhoe, and indeed, you see all that speed that he carried.
Thankfully, no slowdown penalty, no damage, no spin. He'll keep it up. And Greenhoe now looks to the inside, but we've heard drivers say the inside is not where you want to be. Will he be able to pull this off as he tries to outbrake Cowgill for second place into Remus corner? No, just can't keep the throttle down.
No, he can, and he's going to have to slot back into line here. Now, does Danny Cervantes do anything to try to change things around a little bit? Maybe give another little bit of a bump here as they work their way down the backstretch.
Yeah, I think Cervantes knows the deal. He knows that if he fights with them, all three are going to start to lose time. And Lewis and Newhook are now side by side. Newhook, man, it is go time for him. Peter Newhook now up into 5th position, but now that he's made it up to the top of this trio, can he run down Cervantes and get more?
Well, that is what he is going to have to try to do if he wants to try to take anything away here from Kevin Bergquist. Remember, with that penalty, Bergquist sitting down in 8th. I'll have to do the math here very quickly to see if that's enough for Newhook.
And we know that Bergquist is not going to get the 3 incidents or less bonus, but we don't know if Newhook will take it. So we'll check on that one as, whoa, once again going extremely wide there. Kelly Greenhoe trying to take advantage of as much of the track as he can, and that actually worked a treat. He's to the inside. He's got better momentum as they now approach the first corner. Can he get this job done? Little bit of a hello from Cervantes, and around the outside, somehow once again carrying speed. It seems like Patrick Cowgill will not let this die.
No, he won't, and if he can stick it out here, he will be on that preferred outside line going down into Remus. We ride on board with Danny Cervantes, who's going to give a little bit of a bump there to Cowgill as they break down into the corner.
That's going to give much more speed to Cowgill. Is it too much? No. He carries it well. Fantastic stuff as they now fly towards the downhill braking into Schlosgold. But that actually worked the best of the last few laps for Cowgill because he is not close enough for Greenhoe to attack this time.
No, he's not, and Greenhoe has to fall back into line. Cervantes, oh, Danny keeps scaring me there. He is very late on the grinders, and that's Kelly Greenhoe looking a little bit fidgety.
Slid big time, and that sent him off into the dirt. And guess who's here? Newhook has already caught up, and he's trying around the outside of Cervantes. He's wasted no time at all here. He actually could get on the podium.
He could indeed, and he needs to do it because where he sits right now, it is not going to be enough to be able to beat out on this position on points alone. He has got to keep trying to push his way forward to get more points than Bergquist.
Every little position is going to count here. I need to check and see what the positions are going to offer here because it might actually get a little bit tight if Bergquist falls any farther down. He sits in 8th, and Newhook is in 5th. He is watching up ahead to see if this is going to be enough draft to try and make an attack on Cervantes, but I'm going to say no on this lap.
I don't think he is. He may try again as they get going up. Ooh, that looked like a good run there for Newhook, so everything's starting to close down here as they get on the straight.
Coming towards Remus once more. It's looking like Cervantes has a bit of a run, but not enough of a run. And yeah, by the time they hit the brakes uphill into here, much shorter distance, it's not going to offer him a chance to outgun his rivals. This has all been happening behind this man, by the way, Bradley Hawley, 9 seconds ahead of Patrick Cowgill at this stage. Hasn't been growing, but he's definitely been managing the gap as we get another one from Cervantes.
Oh, Danny late on the brakes as we've seen him be a couple of times, and he's got that move done. He's going to bring Peter Newhook along with him.
Oh, disappointment there for Kelly Greenhoe. Such a hard fight, but 2 positions lost just like that. Newhook now into P4 and Cervantes into P3. And 5 minutes to go at the line. Yeah, about 5 minutes to go. So we should see 2.5 laps effectively.
Yeah, we should indeed. So this is going to be a little bit of a tight run to the line here, but these drivers know as long as they are in the slipstream range, anything can fire off.
You got to be wary here. You got to be smart about how you play your cards in this game. It is pretty much super speedway racing when it comes to these MX-5s. Down the front stretch we go with Cervantes leading Newhook, leading Greenhoe, all looking for the final step of the podium.
And all trying to get that last position here, trying to gain back in on Patrick Cowgill, who's been able to pull a little bit of an advantage. He's got about a second in front of him.
Someone coming off of pit lane there. That is Pete Bledon, just returning to the track. They are definitely catching on Patrick Cowgill. It was a little bit bigger than that earlier. So I wonder if the lack of attacking, well, never mind, because there's an attack right there from Kelly. Still doesn't quite get him what he's looking for, but if those first two stay in line, it looks to me like they are running faster than at least Cowgill, if not potentially Hawley.
I think you're right there, Joe. This could get very, very fiery as it goes. Newhook having a little bit of a look there on Cervantes. He wants that final podium position.
Question is, can he get it as they come out of Schloss Gold once more? There's almost nothing separating Cervantes, Newhook, and Greenhoe, who have certainly been where the action is today here in Spielberg. And great exit once again by Newhook, the blue and yellow machine, starting to close up on Cervantes. We've seen some attempts to the inside. None of them have worked in Rent. Is he going to try it again, or has he finally learned his lesson?
Well, we'll have to see. I don't think he's going to go for it. He does not. He learned his lesson on that one.
It's about time. I think it was about 3 separate times he tried that inside move, and none of them stuck. So as they cross now 3 minutes to go, I believe, it's going to be tight, actually, on if we get 2 minutes, or 2 laps, or 4 laps here, or 3 laps, rather.
It's going to be very tight indeed. We'll have to see on this next time where Bradley Hawley comes around. But, man, they have caught up to the back of Cowgill. This is a massive, massive train here and a lot on the line specifically for that man in the 87 machine, Peter Newhook.
Up to the braking into Remus. Looks like Cervantes maybe wanted it, but I think he went in a little hot there. That cost him some speed. Will Newhook try and take advantage, or is he looking for the last lap to try and execute?
You know, Joe, this is a little bit where this starts to be like an oval race. You want to talk to me about where you want to position your car as you work your way around the track. And at this point, I think you want to be trailing here coming off of Lauda on that last lap.
Yeah, I think I agree on that one. That seems to be where you get that most run, if not maybe coming out of Remus as well. And Malcolm Foster is going to be our latest one to visit pit lane, but not due to a penalty. This must be a splash and go with a miscalculation, and we're running 149 laps. So yes, we are 1 lap to go now for Bradley Hawley, who is coming to the line, and we watch the battle to decide P2.
Hawley coming to the line, takes that white flag as there they go down into the corner once more. Newhook looking like he's got a pretty good run there on Cervantes, and Cervantes starting to close in behind Cowgill. It's all to play for.
Bergquist is still sitting in 8th back there. He could still take 2nd in this championship, but it's gonna be close as they break into Lauda, who's got the better run. It looks to me like Cervantes. Cervantes following along, but he does not attempt to pass. He's gonna push, and Newhook decides he can't push both of them. He's gotta go to the outside. He's gonna try and get this done past Danny. Oh, and he hooks him! He hooks him, and Danny's off into the wall. He comes back and is able to carry on, but Newhook, I am not sure if he tried to lift for him or if he just was slowed down by the incident, and unfortunately, Danny's car is too damaged. He's done.
Oh, my goodness, a great race there thrown away for Danny Cervantes, but we've got to keep our eyes focused back here at the front because I don't think Kelly Greenhoe is about to let Patrick Cowgill run away with this 2nd place quite yet.
Unbelievable stuff there coming up into Remus. That's not quite what I expected to see, and certainly disappointment for Cervantes. This is a boon for Bergquist, though, as he's going to get that spot most likely from the 25 because he seems like he can't steer right now. Something is wrong with that front left tire that hit. Meanwhile, these three are just scrabbling for scraps right now because this man, Bradley Hawley, is still at 9.5 seconds ahead out of the penultimate turn and now into the final turn. The 184 seals off this championship with his 4th win of the season, showing why he's this season's champion.
A great run yet again for Bradley Hawley. He is going to be very, very happy with that. Behind him, Patrick Cowgill able to get a good advantage, and it looks like Newhook not able to close in on the back of Kelly Greenhoe for that final podium spot.
Has to settle for 4th position, as it looks like. Will Cervantes get there in time? This is going to be close, actually. I think Bergquist might sneak 7th place away from him. And yes, look at this. Here he comes. Down to the inside, takes the apex away. He's got to be a little cautious. He has no idea what's going on with Danny. And Bergquist with 7th. I'm pretty sure that seals 2nd in the championship. Unbelievable stuff at the finish, which results in Bradley Hawley taking the victory. Patrick Cowgill, I don't think we gave him enough credit. 7th to 2nd out here today, matched by Greenhoe, who went from 8th to 3rd. Newhook could only manage 4th today, despite showing great pace, as Parker Muirhead was 5th, with Todd Lewis in the 6th position. Kevin Bergquist, we think the 7th place will mean that he's not overtaken in the points. He holds on to 2nd as Danny Cervantes was 8th, and Pete Thomas was 9th. Then you've got Robert Galanotto, last one on the lead lap, rounding out the top 10.
Randy Gross was 11th, 1 lap down, followed by Baron Hilton and Randy Gross. Pete Bledon 2 laps down, and then some drivers who were not able to finish there: Cabana, Stanton, Young, and Kings.
Which is going to take us to an interview with our winner here today, Bradley Hawley, our new champion, of course, here in the MX-5s. Congratulations, Bradley. You sealed up the championship last week, but you wrapped it up tonight with a victory. That's got to feel pretty good.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Just a lot of hard work and trying to figure out how to drive these cars, and it just so happened to be at one of my favorite tracks to finish the season out.
I could kind of tell it was your favorite because you certainly looked untouchable in qualifying. In the race, nobody was close to you, but you did all that. Sounds like staying a little bit under the weather. How you feeling? What are the effects that you're still experiencing at this point?
I still have a little bit of a cough, but it's, I'm a lot better now compared to the last 2 weeks. But, it's COVID. Just fortunately, it happened now, right before I go on vacation, and get to go enjoy myself here in the next week or two.
Well, I certainly hope you do. And they are bringing back the MX-5s next season. Will you try to defend your crown?
Absolutely. I have way too much fun with these guys in these cars. Today wasn't as exciting. I know the guys behind me were having some good battles, but I don't like winning like this far ahead. I like to battle and have fun and everything. So I'll take a 10-second lead, but a lot of times I'd rather be back there mixing it up with the guys.
That's understandable, but man, incredible to watch this evolve over time as Abner becomes an Ovalmeister and you become a Roadmeister. Anybody you want to thank for today's win?
I'd like to thank you guys first off for broadcasting this week in, week out. You always put on a great show. Everybody in the PRL, all the organizers, we're working hard to try to make every series throughout the week as fun and as enjoyable as possible. And everybody in the Waterback crew. We work very hard every week to be as quick and be up front and, try to enjoy ourselves while we're racing.
Well, you definitely helped us enjoy it tonight. That was Bradley Hawley. Your winner here today is up next. We've got Patrick Cowgill, who got 2nd, but he had to fight for it as DJ is ready to talk to him, and poor Bradley definitely having a bit of a time there. But here is DJ now with Patrick Cowgill in the 31 machine as we try to get him pulled up. There we go.
Indeed, Patrick, 7th to 2nd in a battle all the way through. You've got to be grinning from ear to ear. That looked like just an absolute blast to be running there.
Oh, yeah, it was.
Well, talk me through those battles. I mean, how much were you really timing everything out? How much were you thinking a little bit about where to go and how to get it? And how much were you just kind of letting the car drive?
Most of those passes, I felt like I was really strong on the outside, which is really weird because usually you're not strong on the outside of corners. But I felt like I was really strong on the outside through the hairpin and then through that downhill turn. I don't know what the name of the turns are, so but yeah, I felt like I was really strong on the outside, and so I was using that to my advantage and getting all my passes done on the outside. So
yeah, you were making things look pretty easy there around the outside, but I've got to ask you, are you going to be back again in this series next year?
Unfortunately, no, because I wanted to do the GT3 AM series again, and that's on the same night, so I'll be doing that one instead.
Well, all right. Regardless, we look forward to seeing you there. Patrick, anybody you want to thank here for this podium?
I got to thank you guys for putting on an awesome broadcast. I got to thank PRL for putting on the league. And I got to thank my teammates over at SRT Esport and our team sponsors, RaceLab SimRacing, Racing Sim Tools, and GSI. And then I got to thank Brad and Danny for working with me tonight and helping me get second place.
Well, thank you, Patrick, and congratulations yet again on this great run. That was Patrick Cowgill, your second place finisher. And now, Joe, I believe you've caught up with our third place finisher, Kelly Greenhoe.
Indeed, Kelly, third place. Congratulations, up from 8th spot. But man, that pack, talk to us about what was going on in there. How do you even handle that sort of situation with everything going haywire?
Well, let's just say I'm sweating. That was insane. I got home from work late. I'm on the West Coast, so I don't get home till like 20 minutes before qualifying. Got home late. Good thing I know the track. iRacing was giving me problems logging in for some weird reason, so the cards were just stacked against me. I couldn't get a lap in qualifying. I ended up finding one later on to put me, I think, what'd you say, 8th? And then, that pack was insane. Bradley ran away. We were fighting. It was fun. And then I just kind of found myself in the back of that train for a while after, I think, running into Todd it was. I had a little bit of front-end damage. He missed a shift going through a corner, and I rear-ended him, dropped back, missed my pit. Peter snuck up on the right side of me right before the pit entry, and I was going to go. I usually like to go a little early out of sync, and he went and just got me flustered, so I came back out. Me and Danny put in a chunk of good laps to catch back up a little bit, and then all of a sudden, after all the pits, realized I was in 3rd behind Patrick, so I just kind of chilled out, lost 2 more, and found myself in 5th, and then with 2 laps to go, I put the burners on, set the quickest lap, and then unfortunately, Peter and Danny had a little scrap or just kind of touched and got into it and coasted my way right around to a 3rd.
Well, we've heard a lot of drivers talking about this is one of their favorites, and I can totally understand. I definitely enjoy this one. Is there any track next season that you're crossing your fingers you'd like to see the SimX5 race on?
Watkins Glen is always a favorite. I got my first ever iRacing win there, so it just kind of holds a special place. Other than that, I just like a good challenge and good variety. There's nothing I really don't like, I guess. So, sorry, Laguna Seca. I want Laguna Seca. I live just down the street. It's my favorite track, real world or sim, and definitely, yeah, Laguna Seca.
Well, I'm quite jealous in that case. Again, congratulations on a podium. Is there anybody you want to thank before we take off for the next show?
Thanks, guys. Just a big thanks to you guys, PRL, and then I got to give a special shout out to the Apex. It's a different league that I cut my teeth in, and one of those guys recommended me over to this crew, and yeah, just having a blast. Can't wait till next season. See you guys soon.
Well, we're glad you showed, as that was Kelly Greenhoe, 3rd place. But it'll wrap up our interviews and this race. But we have another one coming your way as the PRL GT3 Pro-Am Series has their finale in just a moment's time. Don't go away.
Hey there, I'm Nicholas Dubois, co-founder of Advanced SimRacing. We are a Canadian company. So what we did here today is for a real petrol head. He's really passionate about cars, as you can see behind me. We did a turnkey solution for him based on his needs. We try to gather as much information as we can on our client. And like we did today, we install a D-box system. We install ultra-wide cube control steering wheel. We try to provide the best quality for your budget. So let's say if you want a budget of 10 grand, we're gonna give you something that's the best for 10 grand. If you want 20 grand, then we always try to stay within your boundaries. We do try to make it as easy as possible. So the client, once we install everything, it's pretty much gonna be a turnkey. So he's gonna press start on his computer, and right after, we'll try to explain everything, how it goes, how it works, and then he's ready to go. Our aluminum is from USA, treated in Canada, cut in Canada. So we do sand all our aluminum piece just to make sure the powder coat sticks to it. And that's one of the reasons why we use powder coat, is to make sure you have the best aluminum finish in the industry. And our quality is beyond what you can get with any other competitors right now. We are really, really passionate about all the gear, all the cockpits, all the sim hardware, and that's why we want to create something that's really gonna reflect our passion into our product. Come visit us at advancedsimracing.com. You can always reach us if you have any questions. You can call us, you can text us, you can go on Facebook, like our page, ask us questions over there, and we'll make sure to answer every questions there is. We are very passionate about what we do, and we try to make it as easier for you to go into the sim racing world, because there's a lot of gear, there's a lot of options, but let us guide you through your process, and let's hope you'll be an Advanced Sim Racing customer.
Welcome back here to the Precision Racing League. It's now time for the GT3 Pro-Am Series here at Monza. While this track has seen plenty of action with these types of cars and many more over the years, just in case you haven't seen what this place is about, let's head to our track guide. Welcome to Monza. This track has a major place in racing history, not just for the legendary races, names, and cars that have been here, but because it was the third purpose-built car racing circuit in the world. It's often discussed and reverenced among fans, and especially by Italians, who have nicknamed it the Temple of Speed. In fact, the Ferrari fans here are so famous for their devotion that they have been dubbed the Tifosi and never fail to show up in droves. While the real world offers only 3 feasible layouts to race on due to safety, in iRacing, the inclusion of the oval and the lack of safety concerns gives it a stunning 9 versions drivers can choose from. The modern GP layout is of course the most well known, with its long history of hosting the Italian Grand Prix. But the oval and combined circuits allow those who thirst for more speed to satiate that craving with its insanely high banking. Indeed, incredible velocities are a staple of just about every version you can race here. Draft battles are not uncommon, no matter which car you're racing. But the inclusion of the chicanes makes using an outbraking maneuver a much more tricky way of overtaking. The circuit is notorious for drivers getting tangled up with each other while running side by side in these slow and cumbersome corners. In fact, one of the greatest dangers for drivers is the first few laps when the field is still clumped together and attempting to navigate them 2 and 3 wide. While there are other modern circuits with high-speed straights, the fact that Monza sits inside the Royal Park just north of Milan and is still tightly lined with trees heightens the sense of speed here. All in all, Monza is unmatched in its history, thrills, and great racing. Its significance in motorsports history and culture is sure to be unchallenged for years. Well, DJ, I think got a little bit of a taste of that with the MX-5s at the Red Bull Ring, with draft races certainly being a theme tonight.
Yeah, they certainly are, Joe, and Monza is perhaps the king of all of those drafting tracks. Look for some very, very heavy drafting coming down from Ascari through Parabolica all the way down into Rotafilio. We'll also see it through the Curva Grande and down into Della Roggia. Really, the only areas that you're not going to be able to see some passing done more than likely is through the Lesmos. But one thing is for sure, you want to be quick in a straight line. You've got to be very, very aggressive, but you still have to be careful on the curbs going through Ascari, Della Roggia, and Rotafilio, as even in these sturdy GT3s, they can pop you up very carefully.
No doubt about that. And as we look at the championship, it is Krasowski in the role of Holly, who has already wrapped it up and has actually an even bigger gap than what we saw before. But it's also closer between Fujita and Genet, 10 points separating the two of them. And looking through to see if we have Kazuki Fujita. I actually don't see him out there today. But Arnaud Genet is here, so there's a good chance that he could overtake for that second spot, and so is Teddy Lowendick, who's not that far behind as well, along with Jean-Marc Tremblay. So really, Fujita is the odd man out currently. We also have the amateur standings. Let's take a look at those.
Well, Joe, we've got a true battle for the top there with Benitez and Kwok Nin only 5 points away from each other, so that is going to be a battle to keep an eye on there. Diego Moret is about 31 points back in a tight battle with Alexandre Breton, and Dewey Kang close behind as well.
Now, as for the team's standings currently in this series, RSR by ButtKicker has the definite advantage over ASR Esports. Not likely, but still definitely possible that they could take it away from them. But the RSR guys have been pretty consistent this season. SRT Esport, NTR Motorsports, and Precision Racing Blue are all way, way behind. Basically, for them, it's trying to decide who gets third place instead, with PR Esports Blue certainly a bit of a distance back. What about today's race details, DJ?
Well, Joe, it's the final round here, round 9 of 9, and it'll be a 40-minute race out on track. Open setups, though, as it was in the MX-5 series, so watch for these drivers to really, really try to trim out these cars. Same as the previous series, you get a drive-through penalty at 13 incidents, disqualification at 17. Bonus points also are available for pole, fastest lap, or 3 incidents or less.
And we've got a weird one going on for pole, because Kwok Nin, what is one of our AM drivers, on provisional pole overall. Jair Williams is behind him by about 0.03 of a second right now. So it is close. In fact, man, the top 4 are split by 0.09 of a second between them. So we'll see if this changes around. They do get 4 laps to set their quickest time, and pretty much everybody out there still has an opportunity to improve at this stage.
Well, Joe, Monza sometimes can be the great equalizer. Not as many corners here, and it's just about getting those heavy braking areas absolutely picture perfect. And let's also remember here that Kwok Nin has been very, very quick, really since Detroit. We've seen the driver of that 86 machine absolutely come alive.
Now, Nin would have been in a little bit better of a situation. Oh, excuse me. No, I'm thinking of the AM category on Tuesday nights. He did get a penalty on that one. We'll get to that tomorrow, I suppose, as he does not have penalty points in this one. Even still, trying to see what he can do to overtake Benitez before this is over. And trying to see who is on a flyer. It looks like Williams and Trepanier are currently, but they're still very early in the lap. Looks like a lot of drivers trying to park it after that second one and take one final fast flyer for the final lap. But Lowendick, I think he's going to set a time, 47.4. So Ted Lowendick improves a bit, but does not take positions, is now Benitez in his fight with Kwok Nin in the AM Championship. He is still way down in 9th spot. He's got 2 other cars between himself and Kwok Nin. What is this one going to be? It's not looking quick. He's down to the line, and he crosses, and it is not quicker. He's got one last chance to improve.
And he's going to call it quits, so Benitez can do no better than P9 there. It looks like we jump back to follow the 13 of J.R. Williams, that Porsche flinging the car through the Ascari chicane.
And Moraes didn't set a time yet. Moraes is going to be starting from the back of the grid unless this last one counts for him. So that is going to be tough going for that driver, as Vincent Trepanier is going to be coming across the line. He sits in fourth. Remember, less than a tenth behind the leader, 47.2. That might do it, and it does. The pole has been taken away from Kwok Ninh.
And good to see Vincent back in the series here, and great to see him doing that well, and in an Audi, no less. I was thinking before the broadcast that car is going to suffer a little bit around here, but Trepanier showing that it certainly has the oomph.
Teddy Lowendick's going to be the next one across the line, and it's going to be close on his fourth lap on whether or not he improves. He's got to make up about 5,000ths to pass Tremblay, 100th to pass Jerome Bertome. So it is incredibly tight in the mid-pack as well as the front of the field. As he comes around the Parabolica and to the line, what does Teddy have as he brings that Audi down to it? No, he's going to abandon it. He doesn't like it. And that is it for his qualifying.
Is indeed waiting to see here as we've got the last couple of drivers crossing over following the Lamborghini now coming out. That is the 312 of Arnaud Genet. Genet going to keep it out on track. Is he going to be able to go any faster? No, he's not.
Desjardins after him also fails to improve. Kuntz parks it, not happy with that lap, but he brings it down to pit lane. Moraes with one last go at trying to set a time. Will he be starting from the back? No, he's got a 47.7, and that's actually pretty decent. That'll put him into 10th.
All right, so a good lap there for him, and that is going to wrap up our qualifying. No other drivers out on a fast lap right now.
Which brings us to our starting grid with Vincent Trepanier on the pole here today. Interesting stuff. Kwok Ninh will be starting next to him, not only the pole sitter for the AM, but he's on the front row overall. J.R. Williams starts from third, followed by Arnaud Genet in fourth, as Jerome Bertome will be P5. You've got Jean-Marc Tremblay in the sixth position, followed by Teddy Lowendick starting from seventh, and Tommy Brisson in the eighth position. Juan Benitez in the fight for that AM championship, only going to be able to start ninth. He'll be flanking Iago Moraes in 10th.
Behind them, it'll be Alexandre Baton in 11th, followed by Caven Norris with Jordan Kuntz and Alan Roth making up row 7. Josh Slade will be 15th, followed by Cody Hatch with Marc-Andre Desjardins and Jean-Claude Langlois, the last driver to set a time with Elliott White and York.
Hopefully we'll get a good variety of perspectives, starting with Arnaud Genet, who starts from fourth position out there today. So nice starting order for him. And then it's going to be, after him, Caven Norris giving us a perspective, but from way farther down, 12th spot for him. So he's very much in the mid-pack, has some sort of sustenance that he is just gulping down before he gets going. Then we mentioned Juan Benitez. A bit surprising that he struggled as much as he did. He'll be starting from 9th position, has a long ways to catch up to Kwok Ninh, but Monza sometimes can throw up odd results. We just don't know what's going to happen. And we mentioned Kwok Ninh, front row starter, and a mixtery car 86 from what movie/series? Tuesday reveal. Thank you, GSRC, for broadcasting. I like this. This is a nice touch from the Texan. So big thanks to Kwok for giving us continued entertainment. And then finally, another man that gives us entertainment is Teddy Lowendick. I like the shirt. I like it a lot as a nod to Toy Story. And this game, certainly not your simple toy, not a video game out here, as the drivers will have to take it as seriously as they can to get results in the season finale here in the PRL.
Yes, they will, Joe, and Monza is going to be very, very tricky. I think look for drivers to try to break that draft as quickly as possible and watch for Vincent Trepanier to try to get an early run and try to get going out of the Parabolica as soon as he can.
And watch out for Redifilio. Remember, even with a rolling start, it can be dangerous, and we could wind up seeing a big stack up or even a pile up into there. And they don't have a spare car. So if they get damage in that first corner, basically the rest of the race is them trying to minimize that or have to come in and get it repaired. As he stacks them up way back, just waiting patiently. And the pace car is going to be peeling off pretty soon, which is going to give a decent jump to Vincent. Let's see if he uses it to his advantage. Usually you want to wait till late. The green flag is out, and he does get a jump. The question is this going to be enough that he can keep away from Kwok Nin, who surely is going to want to try and take an overall victory here today. They come down into the first chicane, and while Kwok is gaining, I don't think this is enough for an attack. No, he's going to break early as Williams instead is going to look to the inside in his Porsche, but he gets chopped off behind him. They may be 2 by 2, but it is mostly quiet other than some bumping nose to tail.
Yes, it is. Everybody able to get up through there. I thought Sinead was going to have a little bit of a look on the inside of J.R. Williams, but Williams able to fend that off. We're side by side in the back between Berthum and Tremblay, however.
Berthum a bit forgotten today here as he's starting second in that AM category. He's fighting with Tremblay. Jean-Marc is going to have to give up the ghost on that one. And we might see a slowdown penalty, I think, from Jordan Kuntz, who is way to the inside of that first curb. But he's not slowing down, so I guess he is fine.
Yes, he is. Teddy Lowendick taking a little bit of a peek there going into the first Lesmo, just trying to see if he can scare Tremblay off the line, I think, but that's allowed him to be caught a little bit by Juan Benitez, who is the highest ranked Ferrari as of right now.
Oh, no, I was right. Kuntz is now slowing down and giving multiple positions back, and so is Brisson. Both of them caught out there by that apex into De La Rocha as we go side by side because of those slowdowns. Kuntz still having to give it back quite a lot, and that might cause a problem here through the chicane as he is going to have to go through, and he didn't give it back soon enough. He's now got a stop and go penalty. He should have started serving that sooner.
Yes, he should have as we check back in on that battle up front. Ooh, a little bit of side by side there in the back. Moraes and Norris going at it.
So Iago Moraes trying to make up for a less than stellar qualifying. That's going to put him into 9th now. And no, excuse me, that is Norris and Breton actually. So Breton with a good run, and he's going to look to the inside as they come down towards the braking into the first chicane. I can also say that Tremblay and Jerome are also going to go side by side, and it looks like Jerome's going to come out ahead on that one. So looks like a lot of drivers eager to try and make positions early.
Yes, they are really trying to scrap their way forward. Here comes Ted Lowendick trying to make a move here on Berthum, going down into De La Rocha. Is Teddy going to be later on the brakes? He's going to try to be, but he doesn't have it.
And it looks like he managed to get away without a slowdown penalty, but Benitez just got one. Benitez now giving up positions as this side-by-side battle continues, and Lowendick finally gets it done over Berthum. Berthum now slowed up, and Jean-Marc Tremblay is going to get his spot right back. Will it be 3 positions down as Iago Moraes in the 93 is now behind him?
Remember when I said you couldn't pass through the Lesmos? Well, Teddy Lowendick proving me wrong, but here comes that draft under the old banking. A little bit of defensive move there from Berthum, trying to keep Moraes behind him, and it works wonders as for now.
Okay, so at least he kept it to only 2, but man, all that hard work that he had trying to go past Jean-Marc just eroded in a heartbeat. And this is only the first 5 minutes of the race. We have plenty to talk about here. Down to the braking of Parabolica. Moraes can't quite do anything yet, but up 2 spots from where he began this. Oh, great exit, though. He's already challenging Jerome.
Yes, he is, and this is now he's going to pop back behind in the draft. There is Trepanier, sets the fastest lap of the race. That's somebody off in the back. I believe that was Cody Hatch.
It was indeed, and somebody's slow with him. Oh, it was contact with Alan Roth, unfortunately. But down into the first chicane once again. These guys going to be successful in keeping away from one another. It's so easy to run into your competitor in these sharp chicanes.
Yeah, very, very narrow, Joe. Really only a one-way path. Ideally, you want to try to have the move done before you dive into the corner, but sometimes that is just not the way racers have to go.
Well, speaking of being racers, I'm not seeing many in this group trying to save fuel up to this point. Now, this might be changing because we're seeing less of them attempt moves here, but that's always one of those strategies that we see crop up at places like here. Long straights, long drafting packs that form up offers opportunities to get a little sneaky.
Exactly. Just try to find those little areas where you can get that slipstream working to your advantage, really maximize your jump off of the corner and throw the other driver off guard. That's how Teddy Lowendick was able to get by through the Lesmos. That's one of those areas that you can get that done.
So looks like we've lost Kuntz and Hatch so far. Both of them already out of the race. Is coming off the corner. Great run there from Iago Moraes, and Jerome Bertome drops another one. Iago now into 7th position with that move. Little look from Jerome, but I didn't think that was actually going to happen, if I'm honest.
No, you really don't want to try to get a move done into Parabolica. It's not only is it really heavy enough of a braking zone to be able to pull anything off, but also you leave yourself very susceptible to an attack.
For some reason, Kwok Nin pulled over and gave up 2nd position to J.R. Williams. Not entirely sure why. Didn't see a cut course penalty from him. Whoa, and we've had a big accident with Jerome Bertome, and he is going to run into Teddy Lowendick. Oh, no.
Oh, and that's exactly that too wide kind of thing that we talked about, going down into those corners.
Unfortunately, it wasn't too wide with Teddy. It was with Iago Moraes. This, if we could get a replay, this was just a drift across in front of the 93, and the Porsche became a bowling ball.
Oh, and that is a very common sight here at Monza, especially into that first chicane with the long drag. Yeah, there you can see it, just a little bit of contact there behind. Absolutely no control from Jerome, trying to hold the brakes, and Teddy just a hapless passenger there.
Couldn't have expected it all. Came out of nowhere. And yeah, it looks to me like Jerome maybe drifted a little bit too far to the right in that situation. That set that whole fiasco up, unfortunately. So it was indeed a slowdown penalty we're hearing for Kwok Nin that's put him back into 3rd, but he hasn't dropped away from that front group. Boom! Wow. Wow. Kwok Nin, or excuse me, Teddy Lowendick, just surprised by that bright blue Porsche at the last moments. This promotes a few drivers up. Moraes is now into 6th, Benitez into 7th, as Grozowski finds himself in 8th with Breton almost demoted to 9th. They're going to go side by side here.
Yes, they are. A little bit of a battle, and there you see that move from Moraes trying to hold him off as well, but this side-by-side going to continue on there as Krasowski is working his way up through the field wonderfully.
Yeah, without that championship to worry about, he's just here to have some fun today, but can't manage to overtake Benitez in the process. He does shut the door on Breton, and that'll put him into 8th position. Benitez and Moraes here coming around the Curva Grande, and it looks like Moraes a little bit slow as well, as Benitez makes an attempt, but unfortunately not close enough. Can he cut back underneath? No. I wonder if Iago maybe got a little bit damaged. Let's look there on the front.
That Audi does look a little bit scuffed up there, Joe. Yeah, I can't tell if that's his paint scheme or not, but there does appear to be a little bit of damage, I think.
Yeah, that looks different on that side. No, that is his paint scheme. Okay, so it's just an asymmetrical paint that he's got on the car. So, yeah, I wondered if maybe the contact with Jerome just buckled the arrow a little bit, but it looks like he might be okay. Still seems to be unable to escape from the clutches of Benitez, who's going to cut underneath him and off into the grass a little too wide off of Ascari. Iago tries to stay defensive. A bump draft almost goes horribly wrong as Krasowski tries to push him forward. Oh, no! For the 2nd time this race in a straight line, we see drivers wreck at high speeds.
Oh my goodness, and there you can see, I believe that was the Lamborghini of Josh Slade just having to get on the binders to avoid everything, but that is effectively going to end their race.
Oh, impatience, unfortunately, I think, causing Krasowski some woes there, and he has to take a tow. So, not sure if he'll be able to finish this last finale. He still will wind up our champion, of course, but he wanted through so eagerly. He was pushing, and even that was causing wobbling between himself and Benitez. And then he wasn't clear, didn't have that spotter giving him the signal, and tried to move across. Poor Iago Moraes suddenly sees a bright red car just swipe across his front. And it's Moraes both times who has a car that tries to cut him off.
Yeah, that is what we just call bad luck of the racing gods out there for Iago Moraes, getting that heavy damage there. Oh, there was contact with Slade. I didn't see that on the first look.
Yeah, definitely nose-to-nose contact between them. Oh, well, Slade's probably going to be a little bit slow in a straight line himself, but he's able to carry on. Actually, interestingly, Tommy Brisson, who had that slowdown penalty at the start, has regained quite a bit. He's back into 10th position, but still not back to where he began this, unfortunately. There you see the bright yellow and green number 43. I want to give a nod back to second place because Williams, who's still there, is actually pulling along Kwok Ninh. But look at the distance that they're starting to lose to Trepanier. It's about 1 second. I think that might be just outside of the slipstream. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it tends to be about a second is where you start to feel it a little bit this time and that. So I think he may be just trying to close in. If I were Kwok Ninh here, I would definitely think about maybe a little bit of a bump draft, maybe try to play a little bit of leapfrog to try to get up ahead. That BMW tends to be a little quicker in a straight line. I think it would have a little bit more of an advantage here in the draft around Monza.
I was trying to figure out what car he's used because he did say to try and guess what movie it was from, but I couldn't quite make it out. So I'll try and get back to it a little later. Is down into De La Roja. Not close enough for Kwok Ninh for the time being, but he's still able to save some fuel sitting patiently there. The only battle that we've got beyond that, at least towards the front, is Benitez, Breton, and Norris for 6th place. There you see them coming off of De La Roja now. Otherwise, it's spread out between Arnaud Genet and Jean-Marc Tremblay in front of them. And that was a little bit of a bad run from Breton off the first Lesmo.
Yeah, didn't exactly get it. I think he had to check himself up a little bit, and that's pretty easy to do if you carry too much speed into the first Lesmo. Very, very easy to understeer and have to sort of just dab the brakes a little bit mid-corner to get the car woed up.
And Benitez is not going to want to lose these positions. Remember, 6th place here. And Kwok Ninh in 3rd, and they're 5 points apart with the bonus points or lack of them, depending on what happens. He could be overtaken by Kwok at the end of the race.
Very well could. And for Kwok Ninh, we have to remember here, he's not going to get pole. Fastest lap right now looks like it is in the hands of Trepanier by about 0.04 of a second. And with Kwok Ninh having to serve that slowdown, I've got to think he's probably not going to be able to get that point for a clean race.
Actually, I think they do get a separate bonus for AM pole. So Kwok Ninh does get that. So that's 1 extra bonus point right there. And in fact, Breton and Norris are going to be side by side down into Redifilio and into the corner. A very clean pass from the 774.
And that is exactly how you want to try to get that done. Going down into that first corner, just taking any risk of an attack out of the equation.
As they come around through Big Bend, there could be a fight back from Alex. Nope, he's not willing to risk it for the time being. Down through De La Roja, they stay line astern with Benitez 6th, Norris 7th, and Breton in P8.
Yeah, line astern here as they go, focusing back on that battle with Kwok Ninh. Trepanier really starting to pull away. He's got that gap up to 1.9 seconds. That is certainly out of the draft range at this point.
What's fascinating about this battle for Kwok Ninh in the championship was a big slide there from the Porsche of Williams. Thankfully, he holds on to it. Is that Ninh hasn't taken an AM victory here in Monday nights yet. It's only been Benitez and Moraes, along with a single one for Jerome Breton.
Yeah, it's a very impressive, just consistent run here for Kwok Ninh. And like I've said, he's really come alive in the second half of this season. Early on, didn't exactly look like he was going to be challenging for the championship, but he has just put in a string of podiums lately.
See if he does anything here. He's within 0.2 of a second. Nope, that looked like an early lift even. By the way, Teddy Lowendick's actually still out there rolling in the 72. Now he's 8 seconds behind, and I'm not showing him having been in pit lane, so I'm not sure if he's just trying to limp the car around here because he's got a battle on his hands or what, but he's out there and still cruising.
Kudos to him, but we've got to jump to this battle right now between Breton and Benitez. They're side by side through the Curva Grande. That Ferrari looking like it's going to be outpaced.
Oh no, and Benitez really needs these positions. So Breton and Norris both able to overtake. So Juan down to 8th position. And I do believe that will do it for Kwok Nin. If he finishes in 3rd, that will make him the AM champion.
All right, he has got to just keep focused on that. He's losing a little bit of touch here with J.R. Williams up ahead, but at the same time, I think he is in a fantastic place right now, just sitting in the catbird seat, but this battle doesn't look like it's done yet.
Nope. And that's Kevin Norris with a slowdown. So he is going to give way to both of them. Now, pardon me, I made a little bit of an error. Ooh, and he's really having to slow down, giving it back big time down through the chicane. The AM points are awarded not based on overall, but according to their relation to one another. So that means that actually Benitez is still in a decent position, but not preventing himself completely. He sits 3rd of our AM drivers. Jerome Bertone wrecking out was a big boon to him.
Yes, it was, and so he is really going to want to try to get by Breton here and see if he can force that issue. Just tuck up behind in the draft, see if he can force an error. That's going to be his best way by right now.
Ooh, here we go. He's starting to gain and does not attack Breton. Now, Alexander is within the same class as him, so this is for points in that AM class. And, oh, we had a pass for 2nd, maybe? Kwok Nin, I think, managed to get side by side. Yeah, he almost managed an overtake on Williams, but couldn't quite make it stick.
Well, that is that straight line speed of the BMW coming out to play a little bit, seeing what he can do. He is within about a half a second. That's a little bit closer than we saw him on the previous laps, but he is definitely starting to push and hustle here a little bit.
Now, Benitez in 3rd, I think, might actually be safe, because if he gets no bonus points, well, and he can't get the bonus for the pole, he could still get it for fastest lap, he could still get it for a clean race, but if he gets 0 and Kwok Nin gets all 3, then that would tie them, but Kwok would only have 1 win to Juan's 3, so it looks like Juan would win on the count back. So at this point, Kwok needs Juan Benitez to lose 1 more position, and that would be Tommy Brisson at this stage in 43rd, in 9th position overall. So he's a long ways back from Juan Benitez. It's got 1 car between them, but it's looking like a good 5 or 6 seconds.
Yeah, it is. So a lot still to play for, a lot still to be decided as they go around. We watch Kwok Nin here trying to close in behind, not going to go for the move. Ooh, that Porsche looked very squirrely under braking.
So he tries to accelerate away. Kwok Nin can't quite get the throttle down, as well as the rear-weighted Porsche, who is just able to just mash that gas and go. And they're getting close to the halfway point. We've now lost 5 of our drivers, as Moraes is the latest to call it quits. Oh, and we might have another one, Slade, who's already been involved in an incident when he ran into Krasowski. I think spun it on his own. We had a little bit of help. He had some touch from Elliott White, but it was already going around at that stage.
Yeah, they were duking it out side by side, going down the main straightaway in a little bit of a drag race, and I think the 2 of them just got together going down into Rettifilio. Here is the replay.
So that's Slade in the red and black, and as he comes up to it, he's going to outbrake himself just a little bit, take a lot of curb, and that sends the Lambo around, and his fellow Lambo driver just finishes it off as he gets pushed backwards. And he has to wait to continue on the track all the way down in 14th overall.
And bad news right now for Kwok Nin, as Benitez has been able to get by Alexandre Breton for second in that AM championship. So that means Benitez would be able to hold it were things to finish as they do now.
Yeah, so no count back even at this point. He will be points ahead no matter what. So the 55 trying to weave now as he's looking to try and break Breton, towing up on him. They've also got Caven Norris, who's starting to look quite interested in this. He started from 12th. He's up 4 from the beginning. So he's on quite the climb as the pair of them head through Rettifilio once again. And Breton, as close as he was not able to attack, but he stays within less than half a second.
Yes, he does. We ride on board with Caven Norris, who's sitting back in the popcorn position. Remember, he was involved in this battle earlier and then suffered that slowdown that put him back. He sits about 0.8 of a second behind the battling 2 cars in front.
Kind of impressed in all 5 of our drivers that are giving us cams today, and out of 5 lost, and none of them have DNF'd so far, so kudos to that. We seem to have a curse sometimes that they'll disappear one by one. So we come down into the second Lesmo now, and Norris has closed it down. It was almost a second before. Now it is 0.4, and this is going to throw a wrench in the system.
Yes, it is. That purple and black Audi looking very, very strong in 8th position overall. He is going to want to get by. Look how fast he was through the first part of Ascari.
I think he's the fastest of these 3. I think this might be easy pickings for him. It's just more a question whether or not he can actually continue away and build the gap over them in the end. So they come down into Parabolica. Who gets the launch here? This is the critical thing. And who gets that extra toe down into the first chicane? Doesn't look like Caven's going to be quite close enough. Let's see what the top speed is of each of them.
All right, they're going to get going quick here to see what it is. I don't know if anybody's going to be close enough. Little bit of movement this way and that as they just kind of jockey around. It looks a little bit like Breton is able to close in, but they're not able to get anything done.
Oof, so close yet so far. He's going to have to try again later, and I have a feeling that Alex is probably going to start trying, because now that Caven is rocked up, he probably doesn't want to sit around and just wait for that pass to happen.
No, he certainly does not. That's going to put pressure on him from behind, and he is going to want to try to get on by. Yeah, you can see just how aggressive he's being on the curbs. A little bit of a wiggle out of the rear of that teal Audi, though. That's going to cost him about 0.5.
And right now, this is Ferrari versus Audi out there on track. So the lead car slightly different from those 2. Will that give him enough of an advantage to try and keep them behind? All 3 known for being good, nimble cars. But right now what they need is straight line speed.
Yeah, that is really what it is. Man, you can see how much those Audis are really clobbering the curbs, and they are not cars known for liking those curbs a lot. So very, very surprising to see them really chucking. Whoa, that's a Lambo having a big ride in the back.
And that was, I think, Elliott White, who is able to keep going, but the pro driver is still sitting down in 10th. And as you'd expect in a race where you can tow behind and maybe try and save some fuel, we have yet to see any pitters until now. Right as I say it, Juan Benitez ducks down in, tries to take the alternate strategy to compare to those behind him.
All right, now this is going to come out a little bit like we talked about at the Red Bull Ring earlier. Oh, he missed his pit stall.
Oh, no. What is this going to mean for him? I don't think he's going to have a long enough stop that he is going to be caught by Brisson, but this is not good news. If he loses touch, it could put him under threat of being caught after the pit stops if he's out of the tow. Meanwhile, is that White that we were just watching coming off the corner? No, this is, that was the car of Genet, I think, wasn't it? Yes.
Yes, it is.
So Genet, who I do believe, let me check the points here, as I got to switch back and forth between the two of them. Yeah, Genet definitely got to overtake Fujita here today without the Japanese driver being able to attend. So Arnaud should be able to get second place in the championship. Poor Teddy Lowendick. He actually might be overtaken by Jean-Marc Tremblay for that fourth spot himself.
And a little bit of slicing and dicing. There is Kevin Norris able to get the move done on Alexandre Breton. So move that number 774 Audi up into sixth place, but he goes wide at the exit of Ascari.
Norris now with a little bit better speed. Nope, it looks like Breton going to be quicker. Around the outside, coming up into Parabolica. They've got to pit soon. Hopefully they both don't need to pit at the same time. Not sure if it's wide enough to head in there. And down to the inside, Norris is going to duck away as Breton continues.
All right, behind him, Tommy Brisson coming in, as well as Elliott White. Whew, that was very squirrely there for him behind, as they're going to come down. Now, remember, we need to keep an eye on Tommy Brisson to see where he comes out in relation to Juan Benitez. That is crucial for that AM Championship lead.
Benitez is just coming up into the Parabolica right now, so I don't think... Oh, and he's going to miss his pit stall too. Well, that about evens it out, as he had to back it in. And Brisson taking service. It was 37.4 cone to cone for Juan Benitez. And Brisson just starting to roll now. Cone to cone for him. 36.1, so even longer. No, actually about a second and a half shorter than Benitez, but it's not enough to change those positions.
No, it's not, and indeed there, it actually looks like Elliott White able to get by Tommy Brisson in the pit stop cycle, so White really able to carry some good speed in there despite that squirrely entrance.
So when are we going to see our leaders in? Trepannier's been certainly gulping fuel, having to push the air on his own since the start of this race. And if he does not in this time, it's got to be next time for sure, I got to think. But what is Kwok Nin going to look like after stops? He has been right up the bumper of the number 13 since the start of this race. And Trepanier pits in. So Vincent is in our leader pits. J.R. Williams pits. Kwok Nin pits.
All right, Joe, this is about what we've seen. 12 minutes to go, about the end of the pit cycle. I think everybody's going to be coming down pit lane. I see Genet and Tremblay as well. Breton also coming in.
So trying to find their pit stalls. Kwok Nin all the way up to second place. Dizzying heights for the AM driver as they all take their fuel. No tires in these cars. We're looking at 11 to 14 seconds for most of them. Trepanier, 13 average stop for him. Williams, 12 seconds. Kwok Nin still slow at 14 seconds.
Oh, not sure what happened there to Kwok. He will be able to hold on to that third place, but he will definitely be a little bit out of touch, I think, with J.R. Williams up ahead.
So Norris flying by many of those who have pitted, and that is going to get him up into sixth place after the pit stops as he flies by Breton. And Juan Benitez is going to be fighting side by side through the Redifilio. There goes the 55. He's ahead, but he's not done. And in fact, he's going to be on the outside coming back at him. The Audi of Alexandre Breton is going to try and deny him.
Yes, he is. He's got that inside line, but it doesn't look like Benitez is going to give up. He's now going to be able to hold on and hang on to the preferred line going into Della Rosia. It's a battle of the late breakers. Looks like that Ferrari gets itself ahead.
Sliced in front of him with just enough room to spare. Great job by Juan. And that will get him second in the AM category right now, 7th overall. And that is all of our drivers now having taken a pit stop. So if you're going to pass, you're going to have to pass on the track.
Exactly. And ooh, Josh Slade, that Lamborghini just looking all kinds of squirrely there behind them.
Yeah, poor Slade's been having a rough day. He sits in 14th, but he's still way ahead of Teddy Lowendick, who looks like he took repairs on his pit stop as it was much longer. So yeah, I think he tried to do what he could to try and get the car in working order here at the end of the race. of the race. Most of our battles have petered out. Williams and Nin are apart by about 2.5 seconds. And there you see the distance between the top four really, is Arnaud Genet there behind them. Kind of equidistant back as well. That means really the only close fight that we've got is between Benitez and Breton, and maybe you could count White and Brisson as well. Oh, side by side into the first quarter once again, and that's going to be Benitez trying to break deeper, pinching him to the outside. Thankfully, these two don't wind up on top of one another, and Breton will win that fight.
That was a very impressive move by Breton. I did not think he was going to be able to hold on to that one the way they went into the corner, but my goodness gracious, did he ever.
And he's going to cover him off coming down into De La Roja. So nicely done from the 89. But again, Benitez, by our estimations, should be able to, at worst, tie Quoc Ninh as it sits right now. Now, that means if Quoc Ninh moves up one position, that changes the story as we now watch the fight between Brisson and White.
Yes, we do. Lamborghini versus BMW here. Looks like a little bit of a better run for the Lambo coming off of the second Lesmo. He's going to hope to tuck up behind in the draft and get something done here.
He's got to run, but he doesn't take it. He lifts. Doesn't even bump draft him. Just going to sit behind and wait patiently. I think he wants to try and give this a little bit longer until the end of the race to try and make a slam dunk move and deny better opportunities from Brisson to try and re-overtake. Look at that, two pairs coming down into the Parabolica, and 8 minutes left to go. Yeah, Trepanier crossed just about 10 seconds ago, so they're looking at I believe about 4 laps left, maybe 5 laps.
Yeah, something in that nature. As we watch the Ferrari here, you can see the differing angles between those two couplets that we were talking about. Defensive move there from Breton, just covering off Benitez and able to hold it at bay. Benitez trying to get a better launch there out of the second part of the chicane, but it looks like they're going to be about dead even.
Well, whether it's couplets or it is a limerick, these guys are going to have to try and find a poetic way to get to the checkered flag without getting too much damage, like we've already seen at least 5 of our drivers do. And down into the corner, let's not forget, that's still Kevin Norris that we see flashes of, that has continued to pull away, but is not super far away from them, I will say. It's about 2.5 seconds. So if something goes wrong, if there's an off or a slip up from the 774, he is still in the thick of it.
Yes, he is, and that's kind of one of the things you have to keep in mind here at Monza. Very easy to make those little mistakes. We've seen how slowdowns can catch out these drivers, including Kevin, earlier in this race, so you've got to constantly stay on your game.
It looks like that's exactly what he's been trying to do. And let's see, coming around. All right, get a more accurate reading this time on Trepanier as he crosses the line. We continue to watch the fight between Breton and Benitez, with Alexander Breton leading right now. And across the line with just under 7 minutes left to go. So yeah, that's going to be 4 laps left for our drivers.
All right, 4 laps to go to decide one of these two battles. And as they come off of the Parabolica there, Benitez closing down the gap, coming underneath a 1/10.5 of a second. He's got a whole head of steam here coming.
But Juan lifts, so he's not willing to try and do it yet either. Behind them, Elliott White was actually bump drafting Brisson. I think they have intentions of trying to catch back up to that battle for 7th in front of them.
Well, with only 4 laps left, they've got a long way to go, about 3.5 seconds to do it. So it is going to be very, very tricky to try to catch up like that.
Yeah, no doubt about that. That'd be close to a second a lap that they're going to have to try and run. But they are working together. And from what we've seen, Benitez and Breton don't have interests in working together. I do think Juan might be considering those behind him. He knows if he battles too many laps in a row, they'll probably start to catch them. So that also probably plays in to his electing to not take the immediate opportunity.
Yeah, exactly. Gotta kind of weigh the balances there. A little bit of a look in the back for Benitez. He's got this down to about a 10th as they make the run into Ascari. He's going to back off again, just waiting for that opportune moment that you mentioned, Joe.
He wants a nice, easy pass where neither of them get slowed up too much. He watches on board, and you can see the triple screen view there in front of him. But look at the defensive line from Alexander. In fact, still staying defensive. Ooh, this could change the complexion of things. If he is slow off the corner, will this finally mean that Juan starts to go for the attack?
Well, it could have, but a little bobble of oversteer there mid-corner for Benitez, I think, may have scuppered just a little bit of speed that he could have carried, but he's able to close in again. Let's see if he's going to lift here. Again, lifting, opting to stay out of it, waiting for the perfectly timed attack.
Which still is not right now. So sitting back once again behind them, no change as well between Brissall and White. Elliott up from 19th, another driver that did not set a qualifying time here today. What if we could ride on board here with the 27? DJ, talk us around a lap of Monza in an Italian car.
Oh, it's the only way to do it, Joe, is here you see diving in. You want to break it about the 100-meter board. A little bit of a wiggle there, a little bit off the apex. Oh!
That's a first. I don't think we've ever had a talk-through lap that we've had a spin. But White, unfortunately, is going to have to wait patiently for drivers to go by. Now he's got an opening. Desjardins and Langlois clearly pass him.
Yeah, indeed, Joe, that is the first time we've had a talk-through lap that has ended in a spin, and we offer our apologies there for the worst of commentators' curses.
Well, that separated those two, but did not do anything to Breton and Benitez, still 7th and 8th. And as we count it, it is still Benitez who sits in the best position to take the championship right now. But Tommy Brisson has one less car to pass and one less car to deal with. He's down to 2.8 seconds. Juan has to be safe here. He cannot afford to be passed by the 43.
And he cannot afford to make a low percentage move here that could put him into the gravel traps. That, I think, is what is really dictating some of this timidity that we're seeing out of him, although this is the best run we've seen him have. Now he pokes his nose to the inside. Bertrand trying to hold him off as they race down towards the Rettifilio.
He's got the inside. He's much farther along him this time. Is he going to be completely done by the apex? Yes, he's got it. And he waited, and it paid off as Juan Benitez now into 7th, and that will absolutely... Oh, no, he got to slow down. He got to slow down, and he's got to give it back. How much does he have to give it back? Because it's now down to 2 seconds, under 2 seconds. Brisson is gaining.
Yes, he is. Oh, my goodness gracious. I was wondering if he took that curb a little bit too heavy. Now he is going to be losing a little bit of the draft up in front of him as the gap is growing between him and Breton to about a second.
Just when I thought that was going to be Juan making the move that ensures and clinches the championship for him, it all unravels, and he is under even more threat of losing it. It is not for sure, even if he does get passed by Tommy, because we have to add up the bonus points on Kwok Nin and Juan Benitez to determine who will be the winner in the championship. But this is not looking good now.
No, it is not. And just doing a quick cursory glance at the standings, it does look like Kwok Nin holds the fastest lap for the amateur drivers, so that will be a bonus point for him.
And it is white flag lap now because Trepanier just crossed the start-finish line 2 seconds ahead of Williams. He is well clear. 3 seconds more back to Kwok Nin, but it'll still be a first and victory for Kwok as long as he brings it home from here, even if Genet manages to pass him, who is starting to catch up there. We'll keep an eye on that because that could be a battle here at the end. But look at this. Benitez has started to catch back up to Breton.
Yes, he has. Breton feeling the pressure, moving a little bit in the braking zone, trying to break that draft. They dive down now into the corner, and there comes the run for the Ferrari.
He learned his lesson this time, and unfortunately it wasn't farther up ahead, but he didn't get the slowdown penalty, and he's going to have the inside as they come through the Curva Grande. He's got the overlap. How hard does he push this? He doesn't technically need this one, looking into the braking zone. He gets his nose ahead. Oh, but he's starting to tangle with him. He gets through. Little bit of elbows out. And now Juan Benitez is second in the AMs.
And that will for sure secure him the championship victory if he can just keep it on the road.
Whew, that was risky, but he made it work. I give him credit because I thought he was going to throw it away when they started to make contact there. But up at the very front of the field, Vincent Trepignet, who's now got a handy 1.5 second lead, I think might be taking his first win of the season. Yes, indeed. 3 top 5s, and this is the first one that's going to top the podium as the 87 car takes a win in the finale here in Italy.
A commanding drive from Vincent Trepignet, weaving back and forth in celebration. The Porsche of J.R. Williams coming home behind him, and Kwok Ninh taking victory there in the AM category.
And an overall podium to boot. Benitez, as he is going to be coming off of Parabolica. He's 7th overall, but he is 2nd in the AMs, which means he is your champion here today. What a run for the 55 after it didn't look good at the start. He didn't give up, and he kept his nose in it. As the rest of them trickle across, we're going to now head to a quick break. We'll come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews, so stick around.
This is iRacing, the world's premier online racing game. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat to experience today's newest form of competitive motorsport, virtual racing, all from your home PC. Race virtually in endorsed series from NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, the World of Outlaws, Aussie Supercars and more. Take on legendary circuits like Daytona, Silverstone and the Nürburgring. Join iRacing's global online racing community and get on track today at iRacing.com.
Welcome back to Monza. The season finale for the PRL GT3 Pro-Am Series saw Vincent Trepignet take the overall victory ahead of J.R. Williams by about 1.5 seconds at the line. J.R. kept him honest, but just couldn't outpace him. But Kwok Ninh was a big story today. He was on the overall podium as an AM driver and finally got his first AM win of the season, but it wasn't enough to get him the championship in that AM category, as Arnaud Genet in the pros finished 4th overall, Jean-Marc Tremblay P5 and Kevin Norris 6th. Juan Benitez 2nd in the AM, 7th overall, and clinches the championship here today with that spot. Alexander Breton, he fought with him all the way to the finish, finishing 8th overall. Tommy Brisson finishing 9th, and Jean-Claude Langlois in 10th.
In 11th, it was Marc-Andre Desjardins, followed by Alan Roth, with Josh Slade, who had a little bit of a rough race out there, able to come home in 13th behind Teddy Lowendick, who was able to finish on the lead lap. Elliott White was 2 laps down, and from there on out, it was your DNF drivers here today: Iago Moraes, Daniel Krasowski, Jerome Batum, Cody Hatch, Jordan Coons, rounding out your field.
And it looks like we have our newly crowned amateur champion ready to talk to us, Juan Benitez, with a 2nd in the AMs and 7th overall today. Juan, by our estimations, unofficially, you are the champion in the AM category. How does it feel?
I am? Are you sure?
We're fairly certain.
Wow, really? That's a surprise. I truly thought that Kwok won. We were actually just PMing each other in the lobby, and I said congratulations. I thought he was the champion. So that's awesome. That's really cool. I had no idea. So on that last lap, then it was well worth the battle with Breton then.
That's what we were shouting because of that, because we knew it would be close because of the bonus points. By our estimations, we're pretty sure. Again, this is all unofficial, but we believe that you should be able to clinch with that. But let's talk about the race itself, because you didn't qualify super great. It seemed you saw Kwok way up there. What were you thinking as the green flag fell?
So on my quali, I never really felt comfortable with the quali setup that I had this week. I knew I was gonna struggle, and I wasn't even able to match my best race pace that I had on the practice session. So I qualified where I kind of thought I was going to, between 8 and 12. So that fell within expectation. However, as soon as I saw Moraes, he qualified right next to me, I was like, oh man, this is going to be a mess. I know it's going to be a mess. I know that Jerome Bertom, he had great pace as well, and he was in front of us. So I kind of knew that I had to get either second to clinch for the championship, but I wasn't too sure how that worked because of the bonus points. So when I was fourth behind Brizon, Bertom, and then Kwakni, I was like, oh man, this is gonna be a mess. So yeah, it was a very crazy race. I saw the wreck that Jerome got involved. I from my view, I was right behind them. It seemed like it was just a racing incident that they just touched with Moraes, and it was right before the first before turn one. And I think he took Lowendick with him as well. So besides that, the battle with Breton, I knew I was in second in class at that point, and if I was gonna fight for something, which I wasn't sure again in the race, I knew that I had to fight hard with him. So that's the reason why I didn't actually try to go for the move before the last 3 laps or so.
We kind of wondered. We figured there had to be some safety in your mind on that, thinking I can't throw this away with a risky one. But this is going to change a little bit. We've got the GT3 Sprint Series taking over Monday nights for next season. Do you think you'll try and carry on in those?
I signed up for the IMSA, so I'm going to be driving GT3 with the IMSA. That'll be on Tuesdays, I believe. So yeah, I actually initially signed up for the VRS Sprint, and then I moved to IMSA, so I'm looking forward to that.
All right. Well, again, congratulations. We'll try and make sure that we get some confirmation. Anybody you want to thank before you go?
Well, the PRL guys, firstly, because this was my very first experience in a league overall in iRacing. It was quite amazing, to be honest. I'm highly surprised of the quality of the people that are working behind all of this, and at the same time, just you see the competition is very, very abrupt. I mean, everybody is just within 1 second of each other. Quality looks like a NASCAR race, and it's just it's awesome. I'm looking forward for the next season.
And that was Juan Benitez, 7th overall, 2nd in the AM race today. Up next, I believe DJ has caught up with Vincent Trepanier, our overall winner today.
I have indeed. Vincent, a commanding drive on your return back to the series. This has got to feel good.
Yeah. I'm very happy, guys. I was in vacation for the last 3 weeks in Florida, so I really need it. But it's great to come back on the track and get a win. Yep.
Well, what was your secret? It looked like absolutely nobody could touch you out there today.
But there is the throttle on the left pedal and the right pedal, and the brake on the left pedal. So this is my tricks. I really love the car. It's a very different car from the BMW in the last season. But next season, I don't know if I gonna keep the AOD or try another car. But I love it. Yep.
Well, clear you love it. Are you going to be doing the Sprint Series, or are you going to be making the jump over to the IMSA Series?
Yeah, we will be in the IMSA GT3. So we'll try some cars in the next week, because we have 2 or 3 weeks again for the start of the season, I think. So I will try all the cars in the GT3 and yep, IMSA.
All right. We look forward to seeing you there. Anybody you'd like to thank for the win today?
I want to thank all my teammates, ASR Esport, Kevin Norris and Alexandre Breton. It's really good guys. I want to thank all the PRL staff, Jérôme Bertium, Arnaud Genet, GR, all the staff make an awesome job to keep the league the cleaner as possible. And I want to thank you guys, GSRC. You make a very good broadcast on the YouTube.
Well, we are more than happy to do it. Thank you so much. That was Vincent Trepanier, your winner here today. And now, Joe, I believe you've caught up with Quoc Ninh.
Indeed, as we continue to try to get confirmation in the background. Quoc, glad to see your face. Before we get to the race itself, do we not get to find out what car number 86 is until tomorrow night? Do we have to wait?
Yes, sir. I will have it revealed tomorrow for the GT3 AM race.
All right. Okay. I'll try to stay patient then. Wow, your first win finally here in the AM category here at the end of the season. It's got to be really bittersweet knowing you didn't quite win the championship from what our math is going. Oh, wait, no. We're getting an update now. Hold on. We're hearing that you might have it by a single point here. So actually, I take that back. If the update is correct, you have taken the championship.
1 point, man, that's amazing. It was a very hard battle throughout the season. I'm glad I'm able to end the Monday races with being, having my first win. Yeah.
Yes, I'm seeing it updated now. It is indeed a single point difference. So that win, that bonus for the pole, everything all came together to make that happen. Was it nerve-wracking coming into this one?
A little bit. I was pretty much practicing all day. All I knew was I needed to qualify at least top 5, top 3. At least with the pros, so that way I have like a big advantage out of the AM class drivers, because if I can just keep it clean and race as fast as I can, I know I would be first place, second place.
Wow. Just I can't imagine being in that situation, coming down to the finale and all that on your shoulders. We've been asking a lot of the other drivers, so I figure we might as well ask you. Are you heading over to the IMSA multi-class series? Or are you going to try and go with the GT3 sprints here on Monday nights next season?
I'm actually probably going to take a break. I've ran PRL pretty much for a whole year already. So I have studies to do, and as soon as I knock that out the way, I'll get back into it.
Well, we've been enjoying having you on the series. You've been so much fun to watch and get to talk to and see your streams. Is there anybody you want to thank for the win in the championship?
I want to thank my family, my partner, my team for keeping my head cool after last week's race. I want to thank you guys for just hosting the best commentating throughout the season. PRL for hosting the race and their staff.
Thank you very much. That was Quoc Ninh, third overall, first on the AM race today, and first in the championship is up next. We've got second on the track, J.R. Williams with DJ.
Indeed, JR, a fierce battle early on with Quoc Ninh, and then able to walk away with this second place. You got to feel pretty good with that.
Yeah, I did not expect that going in. I think Daniel's being kind to all of us and decided to start from the back, so that might have helped us out a bit.
Yeah, indeed. Well, talk me through that battle a little bit with Quoc. I mean, you guys were just absolutely going at it tooth and nail early on.
Yeah, he kind of cut across my nose into turn one. But other than that, yeah, he was. I think his strategy was fuel saving. So he let me buy at some point, and then he just stayed with me. I think I actually don't know what happened. He just he had a longer pit stop. I figured with the fuel saving, he would be well in front of me.
Yeah, we're not sure exactly what happened there as well, but I guess we'll pose the same question to you coming off of a good run here. That we'll pose the same question we posed to everybody else. Are you going to stick in the GT Sprint Series, or are you making the jump over to IMSA next year?
Yeah, I'll have to be in IMSA. The minimum I rating or the maximum I rating for GT3 next season is 3K, and I'm just a hair over. But I'll be running LMP2 in the IMSA series next season.
Ooh, a little bit of a change there. I love it. We look forward to seeing you there. Anybody you'd like to thank, though, for today?
Yeah, I'd love to thank my teammate Dave. Sorry he couldn't be here tonight, as well as Jean-Marc Tremblay, great teammates all season. And then, yeah, the rest of the SRTE and all of our sponsors. And also, thanks to you guys. You guys put on such a great show. Really enjoy it.
Well, thank you, JR. We are more than happy to do it. That was JR Williams, your second place finisher here today. Joe?
And that's going to wrap us up with a big thank you to some of our sponsors as well, starting with the Majors Garage. If you click the link in the description below, we've got a promo code that gives you 10% off. Simply Majors GSRC. Put that in for your next order. Also, we want to thank ASR. They design and build the sturdiest and most durable aluminum profile racing simulation cockpits available in the market today. Visit them at advancedsimracing.com. And RaceLab. It helps you to improve your driving skills. Start using it now for free at RaceLab.app. And ButtKicker. Feel what you've been missing at thebuttkicker.com. As well as NinjaTrader. Visit NinjaTrader.com and get started with a risk-free trading simulator to start tracking your performance. Thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen. And additional thanks to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. Check out our Bandcamp for more great work. Thanks to the team today, DJ, Zach, and Dougie. You can find more info about GSRC at globalsimracingchannel.com or through our social media. Also, check out our merchandise store at gsrc.storenvy.com. We keep a link for the description, link for that in the description below. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment. As we mentioned, we are coming back, but it'll be slightly different on Monday nights. It'll be March 21st at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, as we are going to have the MX-5s and the GT3s, but it's going to be a sprint format instead of the Pro-Ams. We also have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. But until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.